It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you are tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. The kid stole my bell. I don't know what they
God.
did.
I was just waiting for it, and there's no bell. Ding, ding, ding. You're tuned in to ChipChat.
They ran. I saw it on my chair.
It's the only production. Like, obviously, Brian obviously takes care of the production, but it's the only production that we've always had control over. And look, it's super limited, I know. But if fans of this show have been listening for a while, they enjoy the bell. The bell is.
I like that you think that there's fans who have been listening for a while.
Look, I'm usually the one making the no listeners joke, so this time I had to flip it a little bit.
All right, well, welcome to ChipChat. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez?
You just told him, buddy. There you go.
I will find the bell during the break. I promise. It does exist.
If it doesn't, we should be able to do a show without the bell. We should be able to.
It's quite a crutch, though. It
is a crutch.
We literally have never done it without the bell.
I don't know how you do headlines without the bell either.
Yeah, well, we better find it before then.
Yeah, so.
Because how else will anybody know when the joke ends and it's time to laugh?
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, yeah, we might need to find the bell.
Ding. All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. So this week, this is a very special edition of ChipChat because the shutdown is over and the American people got literally nothing for it. So that was fun.
We won't get into this yet.
We will get into it later. But
Christ,
that's a fun one.
What's going on?
Also this week, we do have a very cool guest. Sonari Glinton is going to be joining us.
Yes. Huge guest.
Man, I've been trying to get to talk to him for ages. So this is going to be really exciting. We're going to ask him about his new projects. And we think it has something to do with ice cream flavors. Not totally clear about that.
God.
Yeah. Epstein emails. Who knew? Who knew he wrote email? Also, did you see his email address?
Crazy.
What? Okay, guy. What?
Look,
you're the IT genius, so I'll ask you about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Rudy is celebrating Four Seasons Day, right? That was just this last week. It's been however many years now.
It has been
since 6 years.
Four Seasons Landscaping.
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Yeah. So he had a anniversary of sorts, right?
Yeah.
He was given a nice gift for that. Let's see what else is going on. Oh yeah, the Supreme Court decides not to trample on same-sex marriage yet, which I think is very funny. Also because of who is ultimately paying the cost of this current decision. Very funny. Let's see what else. The news has been moving pretty fast, right? But
yeah, that's been the case for how many years now?
We try, but one of the things that's been constant, at least in my life, has been pasta. Mm-hmm. And pasta, comfort food, feels great. Everybody loves a little pasta. It's having a big week.
Big week.
I checked it in the grocery store today, though, so we'll have some info on that.
You have live pricing.
Live pricing.
Okay.
And, while the BLS guys are not back out gathering data yet,
they may never come back.
The ChipChat index is here.
The reporting may never come back. I mean,
yeah, I think, something that's sort of uniquely special to the two of us is that missing this many First Fridays, I now understand what heroin withdrawal is like.
You're fiending for the reports. The reports.
Are you not?
I am.
Tell me you're not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, who am I fooling? Yeah, no.
Okay, so we had 2 First Fridays that we got no data, and like it feels very unsettling, just to be like, oh, where's my BLS report? Yeah. So yeah, okay.
That's fine.
So
Brian's watching soccer.
Brian's watching soccer, not on mute. That's fine.
That's fine. Who he's not
watching? I
got
the going.
He's not watching Venezuela because they're a condom bowl, not CONCACAF. But don't worry, Trump's watching Venezuela, and
that's not Christ. That's wow. Okay. Yeah.
All right, and then
in the worst way.
we're gonna make Sonari Glinton play Florida or not. So it's gonna be a great show.
It's gonna be a great show. Hopefully,
we haven't done Florida or not in a while.
In a long time. Like, yeah, we have not done that in a long time with any of the guests we've had on.
Yeah, well, some of them are a little more qualified than others. Let's just say. So it's a good opportunity. Brian's doing something with the camera here. I don't know what he's doing, but keeps moving stuff around. That's good. Very distracting. Awesome.
It doesn't. Just don't pay attention to it. Like, do you really need to see the camera? Do you need to watch yourself on this? I could easily do this show without looking at myself on the camera.
You think I'm not watching myself?
Oh, Panama just scored.
This is the greatest intro ever. Because he's just bursting in. Can you give the listeners some play-by-play?
Who just scored? It's
Brian.
Who just scored? Since you just said penalties, and the listeners would like to know.
Panama just scored.
Oh, Panama just
scored.
Penalty. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm rooting for Panama because I used to live there. So.
Okay. No, great.
They knocked us out of a Gold Cup once. I'm not a fan, but whatever.
Oh my God. I can't wait to.
It's a great episode.
I will go and listen to this back because I just do the show and it's over with. But I'm listening to the beginning of this because I just want to hear these random screams from Brian. Oh my God. We do such a.
Who knew this would be the thing that would get Tez to commit?
Yeah, to listen to.
Not going to add anything on the front end of the show, but he will listen to it if Brian makes weird interjections.
Exactly. I'm only here for the mistakes. I love the mistakes.
and so get a word, and then we can do that thing. But also, I don't know if you're going to continue on your weird. You were doing the book titles.
Oh yes, I need.
And then you moved on to a new. You should probably explain.
That one was just. It was just so many great quotes on. Is it Chris, right?
Yeah, Chris Bowden's shirts.
Chris Bowden's shirts, and yeah, I just randomly was reading them off with no context, So I think I got to find a different bit though. That bit was the books will still reign supreme in the initial time of doing that. That was just nothing will beat that. But
what a timeline we live in.
What a time! Okay. All right, do I have a word?
Yeah. Working it out. We're thinking.
Yeah, because I want it to actually work. Do I have a word? Yeah, I have a word. Yep, I have a word.
Okay. So sit back, grab some
outburst.
It's braces time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
There we go. Hey, welcome back to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez. This show's going amazing. I can't find the bell.
It's all right. I told you, just you can't find the bell.
It's
just
throwing me off, man.
Oh my god! I was just like waiting. I was like, "Oh, this is longer than this break ever is."
I was looking for the bell.
I could tell. I could tell that.
Freaking out.
It's all right.
Oh,
All right. I love it.
Emergency broadcast system.
I love it. The first sound was the cell phone, the gray cell phone from the People's Drugstore.
That's
when you were a kid. That was what that was there.
Okay, I do have something.
Oh God! We shouldn't have cheap imitations. What is that? It's not loud enough. The bell. No, it's not. No, it's a cheap imitation. Cheap imitation.
A screaming goat.
Oh God, yeah. It's not scream. The bell. Nothing replaces the bell. So if we don't have the bell, it's all right.
All right. Well,
we'll figure something out. It's okay.
We'll muddle through.
Yeah, we'll do it. It's all right. It's just 1 week without the bell. We can survive a week without the bell.
He said incredulously.
I know.
Okay. Let's talk to our guest, who's much more fun than searching for a bell. Sonari Glinton is a journalist, storyteller, best known for his reporting on the auto industry, which is one of the things that I most admire about him. Retail and Congress for NPR, of course, as a longtime contributor also to Planet Money, which is a big hit around here. He began his career at WBEZ Chicago, I guess teaching Ira Glass a thing or two about radio, and covering city politics, helping expose corruption in the Cook County Juvenile Detention Center, which I've fortunately not been inside. Later, he became a producer for NPR's All Things Considered. He has produced and hosted the podcast Bring Back Bronco, Shattering the System, and now What's Next, and reporting featured on This American Life, of course, Fresh Air, Code Switch, and Embedded, all parts of shows that we love, or whole shows that we love. Let's see. Sonari Glinton serves on the board of the Mikvah Challenge, a civic education nonprofit that empowers youth to be informed, active citizens and leaders in their communities, continuing a commitment to youth voices that began with his early work in youth radio. Sonari Glinton, welcome to ChipChat.
It's good to be with you.
Well, we are very excited to talk to you.
This is about to be awesome. I already can feel this is going to be a great one.
Yeah, this is going to go great. Okay, so let's get this out of the way since you're very excited about your Dodgers and your hat and everything. Explain to people, if they are looking on the screen, why you're beaming from ear to ear with your LA Dodgers hat on.
Well, my dad, I have a Nigerian father who passed away many years ago, and he told me when I moved to a new city, he's like, just wear their hat. He said, just wear the shirt. Just wear the shirt of the people where you live, and it'll be easier. And when I moved to LA, I was like, I'm, whatever. I liked, my grandfather from Florida. So there was no MLB team. So he was a Dodgers fan. And so when I moved to LA, I put on the hat, I bought a hat, and I noticed every Latino that I ran into would say hello to me. And I was like, you know what? This feels like something. Like I could wear a 42 and no black person would be like, say a word, but every Guatemalan would be like, Los Dodgers.
So crazy.
Dodgers, go Dodgers.
Jackie Robinson, Dodgers. So I decided to become a fan 13 or 14 years ago. And it's one of the best ballparks, all of the things. And then I was in love with Shohei Ohtani, just to be clear, when he was with the Angels. I was like, I got to go see this mofo play some baseball. And I almost cried when I found out he was coming to LA. I was just like, and it's all the dream. It's everything you could dream of. It's the best baseball player. It brought the city together when we're talking about the division in our world. When you go, I went to the night where they had the K-pop night at Dodger Stadium, and I was like, the world has done something that these Korean people are cheering for this Japanese.
We got a while.
Like I was like, we have overcome, and nobody told me, to quote Marla Gibbs, right? That I was like, this is something, and it's the most amazing thing to see Yamamoto kill it, to see Black and brown people, and just the love and I just hope they don't go to the White House. But other than that, that's the only way they can screw it up. but
Depends
it's been
how much they want Max. So, I mean,
Black folks not seeing it like because someone asked me one time where it's like, well, why would you want to pick the Dodgers? And I'm like, Jackie Robinson, no matter what, at the end of the day, like I can't. There's only so much. So much I can despise the team that was the first team to let a black person play in the professional in the MLB specifically.
And he's from Altadena, and his wife is still alive.
Yeah.
By the way, Rachel Robinson, she's still out there, hanging on, doing well. You know what I mean? Like, and she's a whole story unto herself. So we got to honor her. Just
bare minimum, right? Like that's crazy. That
and what a story that Shohei Ohtani is like this absolute phenom. I mean, he's clearly the best ball player to ever live in ways that are hard to explain. We
haven't even found out yet.
Right. We've got 150 years of modern baseball to go back and look at, and there's nothing like this.
Nothing.
And what a triumph of like I want to say not just sport, but like Americanness, the melting pot aspect of America, that here's this sport that is quintessentially American that we exported around the world and comes back to us by way of Shohei Ohtani and not just him, but like all of these. Look at how many of the players in both of those teams in the World Series are from places that are not the United States. But they're all ball players. And that is a thing that is like one of our, it's like up there with the moon landing, like America invented like baseball and the moon landing. Like those things are pretty good.
Yeah. We invented jazz and baseball. Here's a little stat for you. According to LA Tourism, visits from Japan, I just blanked on what you'd call that. Tourism from Japan is up 95% since 2023, and 90% of those people go to Dodger Stadium.
Of course they do,
and it's the only thing. It is the only thing that's I mean, this might be a little bit of exaggeration, but it ain't much. It's one of the few things that's holding downtown LA together because of the people going to Little Tokyo. I mean, it's for real. When you during the season you go, you see. And the thing I love is when we cut to commercial here in LA, I mean in the US, they cut to the Shohei cam in Japan. Like,
and just watch him sitting in the dugout.
Yeah, and then just the last little bit, the thing that I've like I'm writing a book, which we can get to. I've written a book called, and the guy who's editing it with me is working on a deal about Shohei's interpreter. And we were talking about why Shohei has an interpreter. And it's just like this for people like, well, doesn't he speak English? Of course he speaks English. You heard him.
Right.
But when he talks to the interpreter, every Japanese player, every Japanese fan can hear and pay attention. So you're like, when Shohei comes on and he talks to his interpreter, it's all of Japan is paying attention. So it's just like, everything about it is interesting. It's a case study in economics, it's a case study in DEI, it's a case study. And, God forbid, what if we did exhibition games in Africa? I don't even, like,
who knows, right? Who knows? You're right.
Like, here's this really strange thing about like the way baseball works and like global migration and all this kind of stuff. As Venezuela has been collapsing and there's been this massive outflow of people, millions and millions of people are leaving that country. Quite a lot of them ended up in Argentina, which is another country that is falling into complete chaos. And a lot of them ended up in Buenos Aires. And there's a problem in Buenos Aires. There's exactly one baseball field in Buenos Aires. And so all of these Venezuelan expats were playing baseball literally around the clock. They had to install lights on this field because these guys were playing baseball around the clock on the only field that they had in Buenos Aires. And they've been trying to build more baseball fields because Venezuelans love baseball. And that's an amazing thing that these people are fleeing disaster. And the first thing they do when they get to their new home is like, well, let's go play ball.
Yeah, bodies before brains is like is a thing that I've been thinking about a lot as I've been writing a book about how, Cornel West doesn't come first. O.J. Simpson does. If that makes any sense. It's like, it's not Jack Johnson gets there before W.E.B. Du Bois, right? This is the way sport is the way you change people's ideas and society. And it's, it's just, and you can see it, like I said, when you see Korean people cheering for a Japanese player, that's like a Southerner cheering for Jackie Robinson, which they did.
Which they did.
Ole Miss, like people in Ole Miss, right? It's like they ain't we know when it comes down to it, what really matters. You hit that ball,
winning.
We don't care.
Winning solves everything.
Well,
right?
I think if you look at the SEC in college football, right, the coaches who said, "Yo, we're gonna go get these black folks, and because they can go play," they were the better teams, and those other teams were like, "Oh, they couldn't compete."
Look, Alabama knows about two things: racism and football, but football is number one, and they will make sure that they are winning games. They'll put that racism to the side for that 2-3 hour period on that Saturday to win. Then they'll go back to it, of course, later on in the day because they're Alabama. But it is that. It is.
They got to take a couple of sips during halftime too.
Yeah. Naturally, right. That's the LSU guys.
The game isn't going on, right? It's okay. Exactly. So,
all right, let's talk about some sips. So, we are very glad to have you. We are both huge public radio nerds, and of course, so and public broadcasting is going through some tough times lately. It has been rough out there, and notably, speaking of NPR, we just lost Susan Stamberg, who, I saw that you wrote an article about that. And, I had the incredible pleasure to meet her at the mothership back at the old office on Mass Ave when I was there for a week doing some work. And, even just those brief interactions with her left such an impact on me, not just, of course, as a listener, but you have quite the relationship. So if you don't mind, what did Susan Stamberg mean to you, and how did she shape, the world that we live in today?
Well, one, I think of there's this weird thing because it's definitely a person who was a celebrity that I noticed everybody else, like responding to her. And then I have a very personal response. I think of what my friend Lee Hill, who like me is a gay black man, and he runs WBUR. No, sorry, the WGBH. He's the news director or program director at WGBH. And he wrote what I think is the most profound thing is that I was not in programming, and I went on an event, and Susan Stamberg was like, "You should be in programming." And then she took him around to all of the people, and now he runs WGBH. I mean, there's a lot of story in there, but she was an early advocate of his, right? My friend Theo Balcom, who was one of the people who started The Daily, she wouldn't have gotten her job at NPR if she went to the same school. She made sure she followed up years later. And I think about that all the time when we talk about being an ally. Lee Hill is an example of her being an ally. Now, when you're friends with somebody, and I became friends with her, not because I was listening to her, because no offense, she was the old lady in the office. And so she would, she had the lunch. She sat down and she was with the people who had the lunch at the end of the table. You go sit there at the table, and there would be like Susan Stamberg and Linda Wertheimer, and maybe Nina would walk by. Nina never had lunch, would walk by. And I will tell you, there are some things that I cannot tell you that I heard. Right?
But I will say it on this show. We this is where NPR comes to cuss.
Let's put it this way. I became friends with Susan when she was in her 70s. So she passed at 88. We talked about sex in your 70s and your 80s. She had a boyfriend, all of those things. And the clearest, but here's what I hope will make you laugh. So she would come to Los Angeles, and because she was out of her element, she would ask people to like, I'm going to go to the library or, go to this museum or go do this. Why don't you come with me? And a bunch of us would do that. Now, I was the car guy. So I'm like, if I'm going to ask Susan, so I would pull up to her house and she's like, well, what if I drive?
Wow.
I was like, yeah, no, that's never going to happen. Like, it's just like not because you're fucking, because you're 80.
You can
like,
say,
because you're 80, right? And she's like, well, I don't want people to think that you're driving Miss Daisy. And I'm like, yes, I am. I mean, ironically, I've driven all of the founding mothers, except for Nina Totenberg, who drove me in her Toyota. And oh my God, was that funny? But Susan was like a really real person. And if you work with someone like that, and she made me think a couple of things. One, why it's really meaningful to be friends with people who are older than you because of what they do for you.
Yes.
This is a life-changing moment. It was 10 years ago. Me and Nate Rott, who's a correspondent at NPR, I hope he is by now.
He is still.
We were sitting. Oh my God, sorry. We had like I live in Los Angeles. We were having lunch
in Washington.
Yeah, we were having lunch, and she looked at us and was like, and this was 12 years ago. She goes, when was the last time you learned how to do something new? And she's like, I mean really new, like you got to learn and you fail and blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I wouldn't even tell you how old I was, but I was old. And I was like, I hadn't learned anything new really. And I walked into Renee Montaigne's office, who at the time was hosting Morning Edition. I grabbed a Cook's Illustrated, I should go get it for you, a Cook's Illustrated baking book off the shelf. And I was like, I'm going to take this home. She's like, oh, no. You know how people get about books in public radio. I'm like, I'm taking this. You don't cook. I'm taking this home, and I will cook every recipe in this book. And I started baking. It's one of my sincere passions. Flower arranging, those things. Like, and I think of, since you got me just quickly, some things that I've done with Susan Stamberg that I think no other person can say. And it's funny. I took Susan Stamberg to the Abbey, a gay bar. That's one. Like, I can't even go around. Like, I took Susan Stamberg to the Abbey. I went to Paramount and Warner Brothers with her, like where she would go, like people would, because she's Susan Stamberg, and people would recognize her by her own voice. Right. It's crazy. Right.
That's crazy.
Like, so people would be like, what? Like standing in line and stuff like that. Do I know you? And my favorite moment of being with Susan is she asked me to drive her to a play, and it was called The Class Act. And she's like, well, this a classmate of mine, wrote this play. Now, we all have friends who've written plays. And you're like, and I was just like, oh, yeah, this is going to be some nonsense because I'm thinking about my friends. Right? Kind of as I'm driving her, to Burbank, I'm like, by the way, what other plays did this guy write? And she's like, well, a chorus line. I'm like, a chorus line? So we go, and it turns out that the guy, I'm blanking on his name, but A Class Act is the play of a compendium of all of his work. He wrote 2 songs, because Susan was beautiful, in my opinion. Even in the 70s, she was like a good-looking woman, like just like a handsome woman. Like, and so this guy fell in love with her, wrote 2 songs with her. And so at the play, both of the songs get performed. And afterwards, there was like a dinner. And I had to sit between the 2 actresses who played the person inspired. You're like, that is just some stuff you will never. I sat between the 2 actresses who played Susan earlier in the night. And that was like one of those, like I say, it is. And whatever you imagine someone like that to be, it's like I always joke, whatever you think Nina Totenberg is like, trust me, she's 100% that person. It's just like,
I have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, you have a pretty good idea. Oh yeah, she's that person. You do not like I always say, if like we used to joke in contract negotiations, Susan would shame them, and Nina would scare them.
That's a good combo.
Oh yeah,
that's a great combo
right there, man.
Yo,
Because Nina,
You hear that? Anybody who's doing collective bargaining right now, that's what you
right.
That is what you just need to do. Shame
It's
them.
not good cop, bad cop.
It scares them.
It's
great.
scare and shame.
Yeah.
Say hello to my two friends, scare and shame.
Susan was not to be effed with.
Yeah.
And like literally Nina might break someone's kneecaps. I'm not even like, that's not even like a joke. That is for real. And so, but it's like but what Susan makes me think of the importance of trying new things, being bold, right? Because she, like what was public radio before she started, like trying it and really thinking about the people who are in the places you are. Like, that's the idea. It's like, you're not just hosting a show. If you're hosting a show, it's like you're hosting a dinner party. And the people around who work with you are the people who are sitting at the table. And the people who aren't there, who aren't sitting at the table, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, you have multiple audiences that you have to engage. And that's one of the things that I learned from her. And it makes me think, I did weep when she passed away, because I was like, is this the end of public radio?
Don't feel bad about that.
Yeah. Is this the end of public radio? And I'm like, well, maybe this version. And I did live through a golden era, but it is, what new things are we doing? What am I doing new? How can I innovate? Who can I talk to? Am I really paying attention to the audience? And I feel like I just got a note. I just saw that there's a competition with PBS, looking for Public Lens, which is like, we're going to do a competition looking for new folks. And I think that now is a time, like, what's weird is that I've never felt that we needed public media more, or journalism. That's what I mean. Like, we need art. I used to think that the stuff that I was interested in, Quincy Jones and whatnot, was like, it's not, like, no one really cares about that. And it's like, no, we need it now.
It's funny that you mention that, because, a lot of the times we're talking to people who are artists, musicians, or writers, but frequently when we talk to artists, we ask them some version of like, why do we need art when things are difficult? And they all kind of land on something along the lines of that, art isn't frivolous. It's not superfluous. It's not just, fun or even cathartic or emotional when it is those things, but that it is necessary, and that it is the thing that maybe makes us most human, is that even in our worst times, we make art, and that we need that because it helps us through those things. And that can come in a lot of forms. Like, I process the tragedy of what's happening around me through comedy, right? And I think that a lot of people do. Famously, Gilbert Gottfried says, if disaster or tragedy plus time equals comedy, why wait? And that is like a big thing for me, right? That's why we do this on this show. Do we cross a lot of lines? Definitely, but that's kind of like how we handle it. But we have other friends who write songs about it, or who compose, like Early Bird. That guy composes an album like every 3 weeks. I mean, that dude is like just churning stuff out. And then we have other friends who do it by being around other people. But it's all creative. They're never not creating. And so, yeah, that art is important. Don't ever take it frivolously. I would challenge anybody on that. And Susan kind of embodied that too, right? Because even after she left All Things Considered and doing all the hard news stuff and hosting all of that, she was covering art, visual art, on the radio. That doesn't make any sense. How are you going to cover paintings on the radio? But somehow she was doing it in a way that would bring us all in. And it felt like, well, I don't have to go to the gallery now. Susan went for me and explained to me what she saw. It was that. It felt like that.
Well, art is, so important. I mean, I guess I'll plug a movie that I'm in right now. It's called Soul on Fire, The Life of Elie Wiesel. And Elie Wiesel, for those listening, was a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote probably one of the most important books about the Holocaust, Night. I read it when I was 13. I wrote him, he wrote me back. I ended up going to college there at Boston University, where he taught, and having a relationship with him. And very different people, obviously, right? I'm a very different person than him, but I think of, I would say when I was doing collective bargaining at NPR and other things, I mean, he's why I'm in public radio, is that the thing that we did agree on is that sometimes you got to be annoying. Sometimes you have to be the person who says the thing. And I realize, even though Night is a memoir, then that legitimately does get, air quotes, it is a memoir. Some people question the veracity of all of the parts of it, but it's that work, doing that work. You cannot tell me that work was not impactful, which was just telling the story of what happened to me, right?
Yeah,
And,
I mean, in a way, it's like reporting, right? It's like some stuff happened, want to hear about it, and there it is.
Like, draw thy breath in pain to tell my story, which is what Hamlet says to Horatio. That is the most important. Like, that's like the most important part of the play. These people think I'm crazy. Hey, friend, please let them know that the king killed my mama. Like, they made my girlfriend go crazy. Like, draw that. Please tell them the truth about me. That is the most important thing that art can be. And sometimes you can't tell the truth by, is not reporting. Sometimes it's writing a novel. Sometimes it's doing a movie. Sometimes it's doing a podcast. And maybe the truth only comes out in 90-second increments at a time. And everything else is BS. But that part, my mother's Dorothy Glinton and my teacher was Elie Wiesel. When I'm faced with the evil that's in the world, I feel a real need to say something, to do something. And if this dude could go to get the Congressional Medal of Freedom, whichever the award it was, and look at Ronald Reagan and say, hey, Mr. President, thank you, but no thank you. Like, that's what we are called to do. And if he can do it, right, what can I do? And that's what art is. Can we be more collaborative? How often can we say yes? What are we doing in this world? I think that art is the only thing that really will make a difference. Because the stuff we make now, if we do it well, will survive. And it's one of the ways you can poke at the bear and scurry away. Is like, if you're not doing art in this moment, if you have then what are you doing?
Sometimes art's the only safe way to report. And also, since you mentioned it, do I get credit for doing art every time I say fuck Reagan? Because I do say that a lot, and I would like a congressional medal of something. Just, they named our airport after that fucking guy.
Yeah, that one. It's
That's
national.
not
it's
cool,
national.
man.
It's just national. That's what it is.
Yeah. All right. So look, let's shift gears a little bit. I know you from one of the things that I most admire about you is your amazing reporting on the auto industry. I have fallen out of it, but I was a popular mechanics kid who read the spy reports on all these cars and all that stuff. So how is it that you got so into cars, and how did you become such an expert at that? It's a niche thing. So what is it that made you an auto industry expert?
My mama.
Tell the story.
My mother, I am a third. Well, the story, it's really interesting. If you go and look at Black folks who went to college, well, we over-index so the most popular, I think, let me see if I can say it the right way. The most popular profession for the parent of a Black college student is auto worker, not school teacher, not doctor. Like, if you work at Ford, General Motors, or Chrysler, you send your kids to college. That's that's what, and it's like I got a whole deep thing in my head about like how when we talk about bad American cars, you're like, that are from Detroit. And what's Detroit? Detroit's the blackest city. Why are America? So you're going to tell me that the Germans are inherently better at engineering? Sounds crazy to me. Yeah, right. Sounds crazy. That sounds crazy to me, right? I don't like that nonsense, right?
No.
But I would be wearing my mother's Ford jacket, which I wear all the time. And I joke with people that my mom picking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take me to the babysitter and letting me and my head resting on her breast, where it had the Ford emblem. I was reading the annual reports for Ford because that was what they came in every year. I read those. I could tell you every CEO of Ford, and I feel like in the world of public radio or journalism, no one is, I joke with someone that I don't have imposter syndrome. They're like, oh, good for you. I was like, yeah, no, but I've never gotten a job where I had to stretch because nobody was taking a chance on my black ass. And I feel like
Didn't your mom like invent the Mustang or like one of the versions of the Mustang or something like that?
No, you're thinking of Ermeline King, who was the designer.
Oh no, that was a different story. She worked at Ford for a million years, right?
My mother worked for Ford for 30 years. She sued them. She had thousands of employees. Is the most important thing. It's like my mom worked at the Ford. She helped design. This is the small thing that she did, which is a big thing. She helped design the assembly line.
That's
when the Ford Taurus came about. So
yes,
the people. So it's like one of those things that's like, it's really, stacked upon stacked.
My dad drives a Mercury Sable right now.
There you go.
Wagon.
Unless it was made in Atlanta, which if you live in DC, then there's somewhat of a chance that it could have been.
But it used. It could have been.
It says it in the. They still have
that little mushroom shaped one. One of the ones that they. My parents owned a million Tauruses, but I think that one of them. I know that the '94 wagon, that wonderful green color that everybody had, that Aero design '94 Taurus wagon, that was definitely made in Detroit.
So my grandfather, like millions of other people, left the South to go to Detroit to join the auto industry. He worked for Cadillac, and I'm very proud of him. He was a union man, and he helped unionize Cadillac. General Motors, always the most anti-black. Ford, most anti-Jewish. Ford allowed more blacks.
Shocking.
Those are the two.
Yeah.
Oh, and Henry Ford.
Henry Ford.
I mean,
Henry Ford invented modern anti-Semitism. So let's give him credit. Let's give him credit where credit is due. Right.
He'd be so proud of where we are right now.
Oh yeah. But and I worked my way through college at Boston University on the assembly line at the Chicago assembly plant. And so by the time I got to looking for a job at NPR, I remember Guy Raz, who's a good friend of mine, he was like, they're not hiring anybody, Sonari, but they will. And you want to be ready once the hiring freeze ends. And so Guy, who is a friend and ally of mine, I did a reporter fellowship, and I was teed up Uri Berliner, who people may know for being the so-called whistleblower.
Yeah, he's got fans on many sides of this conversation.
Yeah, Uri Berliner, the most mediocre human that ever mediocred. It's just like he wrote an essay. I mean, he wrote an essay.
We all read the essay. We're not pleased about that.
Filled with errors. No, and let's just so he was the guy, right, who hired me. I worked with him for 8 years. I just want to say that this gay black man worked with this person who wasn't sure if systemic racism existed.
Jesus Christ.
So that was, but he hired me to when the world was interested in Detroit, and the New York Times had a bureau in Detroit, and NPR sent me to Detroit. And they did it for 2 years, and everybody lost their interest in Detroit. But that was really how. I don't think I could have gotten the job if I wasn't like, I built cars. What other car reporter has built cars? Every person I know and love like literally, I was just texting this woman, Debbie, who I used to call when I was in 3rd grade, because that was how I could call my mother, was call the clerk.
Call Debbie. And Debbie gets you to you. That's
yeah. Call Debbie. Debbie would get on them. You call.
Calling your parent at work is something like not calling. They don't have no cell phone.
My parents' work
phone
number.
I know the work number right now to my mom's first.
Yeah,
job. I know it right now.
This is why I was a great reporter, because the rest of the white boys at the Detroit papers who never met a car reporter, who didn't talk to black people, I still remember that the Ford plant in Chicago is 646-3100. And then you go to, I know the number you dial to get to, Debbie is retired, but to get to Debbie. And Debbie would find my mama no matter where she was in the plant. They're like, hold on, baby, I won't get her. And so if I needed to talk about the union contract or what was going on, Debbie wouldn't tell me a damn thing. But she would connect me with somebody, be like, hey, talk to this boy. This is my blah, blah, blah. And that was how I knew, always knew what was happening in the UAW. Always knew what was happening in the UAW. And that was really my benefit. And I think in many ways, that's what, and what's funny is that I am not a car enthusiast, because I find there's something, I mean, this is interesting. I do not own a car.
You could have fooled me, but okay.
I'm not an enthusiast, because I don't love cars, because this is what, I mean, I'll say this, cars, I love cars and I loathe them. They gave me everything, pay for my college. My mother worked there. I know that I live in, but then my dad was killed in a car accident, right? Mm-hmm. So they gave me everything and they took everything away. I'm not a speed demon. I don't, like, who cares? Like, give me but it was the best. I love it. And I'm going to the LA Auto Show. I will never leave it, because it gives me a window into the economy. It gives me a window into race in America. And it gives me and it gives me a window into the quote real people, right? I'm always in contact with people who work in the UAW, black, white, or indifferent. It's the one thing that I read every day is automotive news, because it tells me, and it's the one industry that African Americans have slightly, not even have come close to parity in.
Wow.
Close. It would not,
close,
right? And we think the one place we've more than parity is the government.
NBA.
Past tense, not the NBA, because we have to count all the other people. Less than 5% of sports.
I mean, the guys on the court, but yeah, right.
But that's my.
Yeah. No, I get, that's the point. That's what you're teeing up. Yes.
Yeah, that's the point of my book. That's the point of everything. It's like only 5% of professional sports is black, because you got to consider the back office, the doctors, all of that stuff. So you look at sports and you're like, sports ain't that inclusive if you anywhere else, if you're anywhere else. So it was like, but covering the auto industry really still, I think, it gives you international reporting, it gives you local reporting, it gives you all kinds of people. It's so fun, and it tells you, the built environment tells you about what's happening. And I think that I get really excited, because it also is a way that, I mean, like I said, I'm a gay man, is also the quickest way for me to connect with people. Because when all of the engineers and whatnot found out I was the car guy, they'd talk to me. And while I barely know what a piston is, or know nothing about engines, but that's what my mother's for, right? If you really need,
right, she's the one that has to know.
Subject matter expert is one call away.
Well, it was one call away. And but this will be funny. I'll end up this little rant about my mom, is that having a lot of employees and being good at management is a real thing. A buddy of mine was going on a campaign story, and he called me up in a panic because his car broken down interestingly, baseball wise, near what would be Comiskey Park, right? So he calls me and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Why don't I call my mother, and she tells me something, and I call him back and I'm like, I'm tired of this game of telephone. Mom, why don't you call this kid? Blah, blah, blah. 8 hours later, he calls me a guy. He's like, "Oh my God, your mother." I'm like, "Oh, what did this woman do now?" And she's like, "Some guy named Cool Breeze, who was an actual person. My mother's employee, Cool Breeze. Why's your name Cool Breeze? Because I'm a cool breeze."
Fair
But
enough.
I've never known this man's government name.
Nobody does.
We don't need to.
Yeah.
Rolled up, fixed this brother's car, didn't ask for nothing, scurried away. And it was like, "Well, what do I do?" I was like, "Boy, you better send my mama
Something.
some flowers, send her some flowers, and make sure they take off the thorns on the roses. No baby's breath, and no carnations." That's what she wants. So you make sure you do that. But that's what I love about the auto industry. And it's that thing. And I still, those people, when I sent the candy, but you had to sell the dollar candy or whatever.
I know exactly. Yeah, yes.
Sold out.
Every
Candy
time.
bars.
Walk up, man, my mother was like, "Boy, you go send out these graduation announcements." I'm like, "Why am I sending these graduation announcements?" Man, I got checks.
Right. That's why you send it out.
Because these people who work for her and around her and whatnot, and there's, like I say, I am a product of the American auto industry. I'm in the middle class because of the American auto industry. There's nothing more beautiful than that. My grandfather walked to Detroit from Georgia, right, with nothing, left his family behind. He was kind of an asshole, but he got our family into. My uncle worked at that same plant. My cousin works in Hamtramck, the same place he worked. My mother worked in management, and I covered the industry. That used to be the American dream.
Jesus.
I mean, I really
only the auto industry could do that.
I take your point that, like, I also love looking at cars as a proxy for how the world is working. And, it can be anything, right? Watching them change size tells you a lot about the economy, whether people want small cars, efficient cars, whether they want big cars, trucks, things like that.
That women buy SUVs and men buy cars. Women don't buy cars.
Yeah.
You don't like that stuff.
Well, or what they're made of, right? When you see, Ford making aluminum rail F-150s, that's like unheard of. That's crazy, right? Except that it's not, because that's telling you about what resources are available, where the technology is. Seeing what's in cars, what's built into cars, what becomes standard, what becomes required, safety things. It is a perfect window into that world. It also is a thing where, like, I remember a car turning 100 was like a big deal, right? You rolled over your odometer. And I was sad when my Pontiac, I had to give it up at 197,000. Like, and that is a thing. And I wanted to get that to 250. Like it was a Matrix, so it's got a Toyota engine, but, like, it's those kind of things where, like, and I am a car guy. I love working on my minivan. I'm a dad. I have a minivan. So what? My 9-year-old.
It's a rolling symbol of your virility.
There you go. Thank you.
There you go.
My 9-year-old changes the oil in it. She changes the brake pads on it. She can change, tires. She can do she changed the air filter in it not too long ago. So, like, it's a car is a thing, but it's also like you mentioned, it's a connection, and it brings your neighbors out there working on his car. What do? Wander over. Hey, what you doing? Need any help? Maybe your job is to drink a beer and tell him what he's doing wrong. That is part of how you work on a car. Is it not?
Who is fixing the car now, though? I mean, come on. I mean,
he's him and his neighbors to be
in my neighborhood. It's not.
Who's fixing these cars right now?
In my neighborhood, it's not weird to see the guys working on their cars. My neighbor across the street, he does all of his own work on his. He's got a Volvo and a Toyota SUV, but he's a dude from Ethiopia, so, like, he probably just works on his car for fun. But, like, the guy on the corner, he's also from Ethiopia. Never mind. Maybe it's just like a thing around here. But let me get on to.
Go ahead.
We don't have time for that.
Can I sneak in? I want to sneak in a question.
Go ahead, sneak in a question, because then I have several more.
I know you have, and maybe this will blend into where you'll probably go after this. But Sonar, I wanted to ask you about this article I think you wrote back in the summer, and it was like black men are vanishing, I think, from HBCUs, and, like, here's why. And I found that because that article brought up, my father had me when he was really late in life. He had me when he was 62, and he railed about integration. Like he would, and I used to wonder sometimes. He just, not to say that he didn't believe in it, but he just thought that there were drastic drawbacks from like that decision. And I think your article summed up what he would always be what frustrated him a lot about it. And I guess, could you talk a little bit of like the why behind or what you found in that article about why we don't have black men in HBCUs?
Well, I mean, just like to quickly tear off some of the things is one, after Brown versus Board of Education. So this is a good plug for my book. There's a chapter in my book. I'm writing a book called Blackonomics, where I take 10 stories that I would like for people to understand before they think about the economy, right? So when I tell you that Brown versus Board of Education happens, and then 100,000 black teachers get disappeared, and then you move the largest group of people from one place to another, moving them out of their communities and whatnot, you destroy this black teacher ethos. You get rid of, and almost all of those, like in that 100,000 teachers, was essentially the black man. Right? So 1930, you would have the teacher was somebody who made money. 1975, because of economics, because what school district can you make what a teacher makes and provide for a family? So that we've hollowed out school teachers who are in primary school. Black men are not in primary school. It's more likely there are more black men. Anyway, I won't give that stat, but they're literally, you can count them, the number of black men who are in primary education, when we know that that's the most important time for black boys, right?
Right.
We've created a system. You know, I have a buddy, one of my best friends they call him the teacher whisperer. He's got a PhD. If you're a non-Nigerian American black man, you're not getting a PhD, right? And what has happened is, I think that the most important thing, and I've just learned a new phrase the last couple of days, is homotep. Like hotep. It's like, thank you. I was like, I'm glad you're learning that too.
We instantly picked up on that, but oh my God, that's an excellent word.
Oh my, okay.
Because I know a lot of gay people who are like, anyway. So, but I'm a little bit there because I'm like, the one panacea that I have for black boys is I can get choked up. I had one black teacher.
Is this Miss? This is in. I mean, is this Miss Selma Newton, or is this who taught you in college?
Oh no, Selma Newton was like, yeah. So Mrs. Newton,
she's the librarian.
She's the librarian. She's the one who introduced me to Elie Wiesel, made me write a letter. She's everything to it, right? I never had one black male teacher.
I got you. Okay.
In a classroom until I was a senior in high school. College. And then the most important teacher to me in high school was Arthur Relaford. And this dude was a biology teacher. Never had him in class. And my mom went up to him in the parent-teacher conference, like, Mr. Relaford, well, how's he doing? And I'm embarrassed. It's like, I don't even have him in class. And I will never forget. This is the part that gets me like choked up. And he goes, Mrs. Linton, I will look out for him. And he did. And I was a queer boy he was a captain. He was a coach of the basketball team. And the damn basketball players were my bullies. But Mr. Relaford was I would just burst into tears. That dude was everything. And I only had one. And as all my friends say, one of my best friends who passed away, his name was Malik Murray. He ran more money than any black man. He worked for Ariel Capital Management, which is where Melody Hobson, who also went to my high school but is older than me, she's married to George Lucas, is where you all might know him. Like, that was Malik. like those were the people around me, and like people like Malik, like because of Mr. Relaford, like got to those heights. And so I think that the panacea, if there were a panacea, there are a couple of them, I think, in covering reporting, one of the panaceas is Black men in grade schools. If we just made grade school a comfortable place for Black men to be, you would see the scores, and almost every reporting says it. You have a Black male teacher, and everybody is like 20% more likely to graduate from school, no matter who you are. If your Black boy is something like 80% more likely to graduate from college. You change everything. It's like, oh, I didn't know. When I see somebody look like me, I'm like, oh, you ain't shit. You ain't nobody. Like, I can do what you do. But when it's somebody else is distant, and the love and the softness of a Black man, which I don't think people think of. People think you gotta like be harsh with Black boys. No Black man is harsh with a Black boy. It's like, this is a boy. He needs a hug.
Right.
He needs all of those things. He needs love. He needs kindness. He needs tenderness. He's not bad. He's just, like it. And that is what, but that's teeing up what my book is about, is there are these things in the society that we just don't even pay attention to because no one said it. Why are they like, why do you think Black boys aren't as good in school? When was the last time you saw a Black teacher? Male.
Yeah.
When you tell me, when we have a plurality of kindergarten Black teachers, because again, before fourth grade is when Black boys turn off, right? By the time they get to high school, and it's about pay and all those things. So like, that's, to me, that's the value of reporting. People like me are disappeared from reporting. If you're a comedian or a football player, you can talk about, like, right. How often do I have to hear from Stephen Smith or W. Kamau Bell, who I love, or, Shannon Sharp, or these people get the Charlemagne the God. They like, what did they study? What did they report?
And they're not journalists either. Like, I mean, let me not say it for Stephen A. Was a journalist. Let me not say it for Stephen A.
Yeah,
he does not do journalism anymore. It's completely different.
Kamau might be now.
Yeah,
I mean, his CNN show, I think, would definitely classify as journalism. But yeah.
There's a crazy quote you have in there that I thought was just in that article. I wrote it down. It was like, there's a line people like to say about Black boys: not everyone is meant for college. That is a phrase you do not hear in from a Black immigrant parent. And having two Black immigrant parents, I dropped out of college too, but it was never like, oh, it's not meant for everybody. No, it's like, no, you better go attempt it.
Math? I remember my dad is like, I remember one of my friends said that they weren't good at math. And my dad looked like my Nigerian father looked like what? It's like, there's no good or bad at math. It's just doing it. Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Like, do it. And like,
it's already there. You just got to do it.
Do it. No good, bad.
There's an answer.
It's right.
There's an answer.
Thank God for
answers. Your newsletter is called Vanilla is Black. So I am curious, like, how did this? I don't know if you're the expert to ask, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How did this? If you look at a vanilla bean and you're fermenting it and you're going to get the flavor out of it, it's very black. It's a very, very dark thing. How did that get to be like associated with like bland whiteness? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
It's one of my, I have no idea. But one of the things is that vanilla became, because it's so delicious, it's so good. One of the things that's interesting about it is that during slave times and then Jim Crow, Black folks weren't allowed to have vanilla. It was a premium thing, like vanilla is premium, which is why Black women created butter pecan ice cream. That's like a real thing that actually happened.
Yes,
Black folks weren't allowed to have vanilla. And I don't know how it happened, but the sport that I love the most, that I've been detached from for many years, is boxing. I grew up in Chicago. Muhammad Ali, briefly lived in Chicago. I was born at 1118 East 54th Street. So Mosque number 2 was right next door to where I was born. I've seen every single Muhammad Ali fight. I love him in a way that is like ridiculous. I demanded to cover his funeral at NPR, and it was by far the most spiritual moment of my adult life. That's not even not an exaggeration. And one of my favorite quotes from Muhammad Ali is, "White folks will have you all so mixed up that they'll have you thinking that vanilla is white." And it just blew my mind. I mean, like, you think about it, it's like that to me, that sums everything up. We think that vanilla is bland and white and whatever it is, but when you think about a vanilla bean, there's nothing blacker, and even the little black flecks, everything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything, it is the blackest thing, and it's so foundational, it's so fundamental to flavor and taste. And when you just look at it and think about it, so that was the idea of the Substack, was that idea, is that, like, I want you to realize that they have us messed up, that we have us thinking the vanilla beans are black.
They're out here running this commercial with the people holding vanilla soft serve ice cream cones like it's their phone. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yes, I have seen this.
Where and the point they're making, and then the other person pulls out their phone and they talk to it or whatever, and they're showing that it's not vanilla, it's not bland, it's not the same as everything else. And my kids, they saw this and they're like, we don't get what's happening here. Why is this thing? Why are people holding the vanilla ice cream? And I was like, oh, well, because they're making the point that everything else is the same and bland. And, people say, oh, it's so vanilla. It's like, it's not even interesting. That's an incredible thing that I mean, it's not. Muhammad Ali wasn't just right about that. I mean, he's right about a million things, but like that. This is even still happening in a really, like, somebody invested millions and millions of dollars into that ad campaign.
Yeah, think about it.
Continue to convince us of this thing that is so ridiculous.
What I want you to do is, over the holiday season, I want you to make a dessert that uses fresh vanilla, and tell me this shit is bland.
No, it's
just like, right. It's just like get a $14. No, $14. What I'm gonna talk about, an $18 vanilla bean. Right. Like, and then, you know what is good? Is make ice cream. That's really what I made, vanilla ice cream, and you can't. They're like, the Lord gave me this thing. That's how good it was. It got so good that we overdid it, and we took all of the meaning out of it. We took all of the difficulty out of it. And that is what really. That's what so much culture is. And just look at the culture, go back to the root, have some ice cream that was made with, have any dessert that was not even an extract where you have to pull out the beans and slice in and pull them in, scrape them in, right? You will be just the vanilla ice cream. You won't, like, I always joke with people, like, ice and cream and vanilla is enough for me. I don't need, I had an ex who needed like chunk, marble, chunky, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm like, I just need, and he was like, what? And I made him vanilla ice cream, right? And it was like with the beans, and I scraped the bean out. But that is what we need to do, just like really to make it, think about the world, is that we look at everything surface. And when, like, that to me is like the awakening, when I realized vanilla is not white, right? Then it makes me question other things.
That's genius.
The very basic things. And then you look at food, and you look at education, and you look at government, like any of the things. And there is a story just as ridiculous as vanilla. I mean, I wish I would have done the vanilla story, like written about vanilla for my book, but I read about the car industry. I wrote, and that's that. And so after having written this book, which is, going to come out in September of next year, but it was after all of these things, like, education, healthcare, like these huge things that we never think about. Just like, and I'm not talking, in my book, and none of my work is some deep thing. It's like, hey, the unemployment rate. We didn't get the unemployment report this month.
Yeah, you
Hopefully
heard us talking about that. That makes us very sad. We need the data, man.
we need the data, but I'm going to tell you, here's my favorite piece of data about the unemployment report. One, people never know, like in a basic newsroom, the Black unemployment rate is always times
double
what the original one is. But I'll never forget what Kenny, who was a cameraman from the ABC station in Chicago, said to me when I was learning. I did learn a lot from Ira Glass. Like I'm a product of Ira Glass, right? But I'm also a product of the Black cameramen who were in the union in Chicago. And I would go to these. There was a dude, Kenny, who I loved. Kenny wore the like Sid Jerome 8-button suits. Sid Jerome is a store in Chicago. He's clean. He would carry, everybody else would carry their equipment. He had his on that. He would wear a suit, 3-piece suit, and a hand truck.
Smart.
He'd take his camera on a hand truck. When Obama became president, they had him do the camera at the back, and Barack Obama, the president of the United States, had to acknowledge, hey, Kenny, best dressed man in America, right back there, right? And I remember standing next to Kenny. He goes, at one of my first press conferences with Richard Daley, and I'm writing everything the guy he says. He's like, why are you writing that? That ain't news. I'll tell you when there's news. He's like, oh, see that? See what he just said? That's news. And I remember one of those moments. He goes, why do they keep? The ABC guy, he'd also give us a ride, which we weren't supposed to do, but he was a good dude.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah. He goes, they keep talking about the unemployment rate. You know what the unemployment rate was in 1863? 0.
Right.
And I have carried that with me. What are they talking about the economy? What does that data show you? Right? It doesn't tell you anything about it. Why would we talk about the unemployment rate? What does it tell you about how you feel about the next 6 months, or whether or not vanilla beans are $18 instead of $13? It says nothing, right? Those are the things that are going to affect my Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? Does my sister, Black Women Best is a chapter, it's like when my sister's doing well, everybody's doing well, but she has a daycare center. So, because the Trump administration doesn't love daycare centers and money going to daycare centers, Thanksgiving might be a little lean. It might be imitation vanilla this year, but I wouldn't know that but from your unemployment.
Yeah, that's not obviously the only indicator, right? And let's plug the Planet Money bit here too with the indicator. But on this show anyway, because we want to grow up to be Kai Ryssdal, we are always looking for various indicators of things. And one of the big frustrations we had during the Biden administration was the indicators were all there, that the growth was there, but people weren't feeling it. And we're so frustrated by the lack of communication. And it's an impossible message to communicate. Things are good, but there's still room to go. You can't tell
things aren't as bad as they would be if.
Yeah. You can't say the negative thing. And you can't tell people who don't feel good that things are actually fine, because all of this data shows that it's fine. They're like, I still can't afford my food. I'm not fine.
Well, that's the thing about journalism, though. I mean, I was going to point out to, Marketplace has 0 Black men in editorial, has never had a Black host, male.
Right? Sure.
So what ends up happening is that people in those organizations, one, we don't like to talk about money. 2,
talk about money.
Journalists know fuck all about money. I worked at Planet Money. I worked at the business desk at NPR. I had a career in finance. I have never met even once one reporter who ever even took an accounting class. That's real, right? If you go and ask Planet Money people, I mean, this is no shade on them. They're not, that's not who they are. And so when we think what we know about the economy, God forbid we talk about race and the economy. So,
well, I know a guy is writing a book about that. It's probably coming out in September, and maybe he'll come back on the show to tell us, all about it when it comes out.
Right, but that's like sort of the problem. That's the heart of.
That's why you had to write the book.
We don't like to talk about money. We don't know about it. But the average person doesn't know about. I remember having to explain to people about derivatives. I'm like, what? They didn't know. I mean, derivatives are, instruments that are not based on money. So that's, options and all that other stuff, and pork bellies and whatnot. But what we don't do is we don't talk about the economy in journalism. We don't have a real way to talk about it. And we don't talk about race. But more importantly, we don't talk about money in our families, in our lives. And I think that there is a place that we, especially now that the economy is that we should be talking about it. And we should be talking about, and what I would love I had a meeting today about, doing this with younger and younger people. The thing, I work with young people. I've worked with young people a lot in my career. I'm on a board at MICFA Challenge where we teach people about civic education. And when we ask our students, not just MICFA, but youth radio and other places that I work, one of the number one things that they want to know is they want to know about money.
Yeah. And financial literacy is just totally skipped as like a part of our curriculum for anything. As a matter of fact, since you mentioned it, and we do want to get you to play Florida or not, so I don't want to take too much time on this, but like here in Washington, we have the Washington Post, which is a bit of a shell of its former self. But Singletary she's always writing about
Michelle is, oh my God, Jesus.
Yeah, Michelle Singletary is
I love her.
Yeah,
God gracious,
read her every time.
Please, yeah.
But she's always,
and it's called the color. Her column's a color of money, which is just
right. But she's always advocating for people to talk to their family, talk to the people, discuss.
One of my favorite quote of hers is you both can't have two ain't shit families. Now she told this to me. I went on tour with Michelle Singletary and Luis Barajas, and I love Michelle. Michelle is so funny.
Oh my God.
It does not even come, she will cut your credit card in front of your face, all those things. Like, you need to stay home. But when she said to me, it's like, my husband, his family's okay, but I have an ain't shit family. So we have to have a bigger house. You can't have two. It's like, I don't care about whether you're same sex, same whatever, but right. You can't have two ain't shit families together. And beautiful. That's right. Please, anyone who, if you listen to this show, you must read Michelle, and you must read, and she's one of the many Michelle. I mean, I feel like there is an overabundance of Michelles who worked at the Washington Post. So Michelle
Norris and Michelle Martin and the list is huge.
Yeah, I mean they all came about the same time. They're all the same sort of, like I said. Yeah, I used to joke that there are two people who, if the Taliban captured me, and I had one phone call, I'm like, would it be Nina Totenberg or Michelle Norris? It's one of those two people. But financial literacy, just to go back to that idea, it's like that's what Michelle talks about in her column, which I read religiously, and I love her new podcast, is about the ways in which money really connects to us. And I feel like Planet Money and The Indicator, we like to be smart and deal in the airy fairy theory. But I know how many the percentage of NPR employees who didn't contribute to their 401k. I mean, their retirement, and I know that, reporters don't understand it, but we need to talk about money at the dinner table. We need to talk about our legacies. We need to talk about what we're going to do with our money when we die. Why are kids son, the reason you can go to school is because of I'm paying this much. And I'm a real proponent, I should say, of letting your kids see cash.
Yeah.
Because it's finite. It's like they don't know what to do with it. And that's why I see my friends' kids, they don't even know what to do with cats because everything is a bip and a bip and a this. And they think, oh, just put it on the credit card. Like,
No.
You don't
They gotta go out and get that money.
And Michelle Singletary would be there for me.
If you want us to talk about money more, here's what you can do to help. Get Michelle Singletary to come on our show so we can talk to her, and then we will talk to her about money, and then more people will hear about money. So that's your assignment.
I'll email Michelle this evening.
Beautiful. Okay, now we want to do the thing that we actually wanted you here for, which is to play Florida or not.
We haven't played this in forever. I have not read this.
Good. So you can't play along. Or you can play along. So the way this works, Scenario, is we're going to read you a news story with the locational details removed, and you have to tell us whether this happened in Florida or not in Florida. Does it make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's not a hard concept.
By the way, my mama's from Miami. I spent every summer from 1981 to 1989 in Florida.
We've had a lot of people with Florida connections say that, oh, well, then therefore this will be easy, and they don't.
No, I don't think they'll
get it. So just to let you know, okay, you ready? A 21-year-old woman was charged last week after she was clocked doing 107 miles an hour in a 55 zone, according to the sheriff's office. Yasmin Arazo, 21, was driving last Thursday. It's a great photo. At around 11:52 p.m. That time is important. She was spotted by an officer on a routine patrol who estimated that she was going over 100. The officer pulled over. Here you go, car guy. You ready? A Kia Forte. After his radar measured the speed of the car at 107 miles an hour.
Hold on.
Did you know you could get
Wait, you can get a Kia Forte up to what?
Hold on. Do they even have the 100 dial on the Kia Forte?
I looked it up.
Jokes.
There is a 2.4 liter version of the Kia Forte, so it's maybe possible. Okay. The speed limit on most of that highway is 55. Of course, she was placed under arrest for dangerous excessive speeding without incident, safely, I guess. So maybe she's a great driver. Arazo was charged with a misdemeanor, booked in the county jail. She has since been released on bond. As to why she was driving so fast, she admitted that there was no emergency or other justification for speed, except that she was trying to get to Little Caesars before it closed at midnight. Did this happen in Florida or not in Florida?
If this was a dude, I would be like 100% Florida man. But it feels so Opalaka.
Maybe so you're going with yes?
But I want to say, I see like this is like this too. It's too like
it's tougher than it looks.
It's too teed up. So man. I'm just gonna if it was a dude, I would 100%. But she could be in Los Angeles, and I'm gonna say nah.
I'm going with this is Florida. I am going with this is Florida for whatever reason.
It's too Florida though.
It feels and I know that they have that law now. Isn't this that law? You can't go speeding up and down which I don't know if anybody's following. I know when I drive in Florida, I think you can't use your blinkers. You're a mark. If you're in South Florida driving and you put on your indicators, you're a mark, and they're gonna cut your ass off. Don't use your turn signals in fucking Florida.
All right. So you ready for the answer? It is Pinellas County, Florida, Palm Harbor, no less. So yeah, that was Florida.
Hold on, what's the nearest city to?
Pinellas County, I think is near Tampa, isn't it? Right? Because
it's just god,
it's the other side. Because Tampa is
Western Florida.
Yeah. Oh, what's it? Starts with an H. Whatever county, I don't know. But there's two counties right around the Tampa side, but it's Pinellas County. That's where it is. Palm Harbor, wherever the hell that is. This comes to us from WFLA. So, it's about as Florida as you can get, but man, Little Caesars.
Kia Forte hitting a hundo is crazy. That is insane.
I literally had to look this up because I
don't believe that.
Okay, just to be clear, for Kias now, hardcore, Kias are the new Honda.
I drive two of them. We have a Sedona and a Telluride.
Yeah, but the former, like,
Yeah.
the Forte.
Forte. What is
So I think they still made Fortes up until 2024. And like I said, I looked it up. There was a 2.4 liter version. I'm not quite sure where that was sold. They only weigh like 2 pounds. So, but it's not like she was going downhill. It's Florida. There's no hills. So, hey, I've had Little Caesars. It's honestly, it's not 107 miles an hour good to me, but maybe.
I do
People
not
got their
understand.
reasons, you know.
Depends on your options of what you have.
It's Pinellas County, Florida. So there's your options.
There's no. As a Chicagoan,
No, God, no, yeah.
One, I don't even eat pizza 12 miles outside of my city, unless it's Detroit.
I was gonna say Detroit.
Detroit
Little
pizza.
Caesars from Detroit, though.
Yeah, no, not so randomly. This is a hat tip to anybody who's in Chicago, who goes to Chicago, and this is from a Chicagoan. I might get in trouble for this, but the best pizza in Chicago is Detroit style pizza, but it's better than the Pequods. Pequods, you'll remember it because of Moby Dick.
Yep.
When you go there, no matter who you are, and if I'm wrong about it being absolutely delicious, I will pay for it almost. You too.
There you go.
Not everybody.
We got we'll cover that one.
Yeah. Right to the show with
How do you
your
feel about
receipt and
Malort?
Put it on the back of a self-addressed stamped envelope. And
by the way, my neighborhood pub in LA, they do one of those things where you roll a dice and you get the shot.
Oh,
like, you know, it's like a pickleback or a blah blah blah.
Yeah, whatever.
we have that.
One of them is Malort.
Oh, Chicago, baby.
I was like, why do you even have this nonsense in here?
It's
like who? It's like deep dish pizza. It's like, I don't know anybody. What grade school is ordering deep dish? But y'all think it's like it's all like, who is drinking this Malort?
Curlers love Malort.
One of my boys was on his birthday was tricking folks and he didn't know, and he was like, "Yeah," he said, "Was like, what are we drinking?" He was pouring it up for people, and he was like, "It's American Reposado," and people were taking. And I was sitting watching him pour it up for folks. He works in the industry, and I was just waiting to see their reaction. Like I was just like waiting. You would see them, they would throw it back, and they were like, "What the fuck you just give me, man?" And everybody had the same fucking reaction. I don't know how fucking.
If you're ever down at the pub, that's definitely one of the things that you can stumble into is rolling the dice and ending up with the Malort shot. So, you know, and then get a $3 High Life and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right.
PBR are like old style, but
yeah, they have PBRs there too, but they usually do the shot and a beer. Yeah, I guess they do it with the PBRs too, but they always used to do it with the High Life and a shot was like $5 or whatever. Okay, Sonari Glinton, this has been
amazing,
an incredible interview.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought it would be anything less. Of course, it was going to be fantastic. But where can everybody follow you? Where can they get all your stuff if they want to, get your book that's coming out and all of those kind of things? How can they stay in touch?
So I'm on vanillaisblack.substack.com is where I write about all these issues that are in it today. I'm also doing a what do they call those? GoFundMe, because I want to do a podcast version of my Substack where I talk to literally the first guest that I want to have on my show is Michelle Singletary. It's like she's my favorite. Her and B. Arthur, not the B. Arthur you're thinking of, but a therapist named B. Arthur.
So you're gonna have to come to DC to do that, right? To interview her. So we can do it. We can do it right here at Beltway Radio.
So I do want to do. So the two plugs are things that I find that I think are very important. Vanilla is Black, which is my Substack, along with which you can find out anything about me. So vanillaisblack.substack.com. But the other is MICFA Challenge, which is we have over 1 million students across the country. One of our big centers, amongst most important places. And now that I know you guys are there, is in Washington, D.C., where we're in Washington, D.C. schools, where our young people, democracy in the classroom, we have what they call the soapbox, where we teach young people how to advocate for themselves. There's nothing, you have to see it. You have to see young people engaged. Young people are willing to pay for their news. They're more engaged than we were when we were kids, and they are hungry to get involved. And so MIKVA Challenge, MIKVA challenge.org. It is, like I said, we're in DC, Chicago, New York, California, over 1 million students. And this to me is we joke about it as the hill that I would die on, which is teaching young people about the world they live in and offering them an opportunity to participate. And so those are the two things that are my passions. And I think if you guys look up MIKVA Challenge, you'll love it too. And as a matter of fact, I think I should try to book my CEO on your show, because she would be a great person to talk politics with.
We would love to.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm looking at the website right now.
I'm just going to let you know, I've been around a few mikvahs in my life, and as long as I don't have to get wet, I'm ready to jump.
Now, mikvah, which is a spiritual bath in Judaism, but it was also named after Abner Mikvah, who was a congressman and a judge, and he also hired Barack Obama. And when he was asked, when his students were like, "Oh, we're going to create a scholarship in your name," he was like, "Scholarship? By the time he gets to college, it's way past for these kids. We got to have a way for them to get involved when they're in 14 and 15." And that is where MIKVA Challenge comes from. And like I said, it is one of the few things that I would die for.
Well, we love that idea. So yes, absolutely. Let's talk to whoever you recommend. We will definitely. Come on, you're Sonari Glinton. Whoever
we need these kids to be successful. God, we need it. Like, we need it. It's not.
We don't have a choice. Who's going to care for us when we get even older?
But this is the great thing. Is like when you have a mikvah school where you teach one kid, and they're going to bring in their homies. You teach one kid about democracy or about how to find what's really going on, and you have their whole class.
Yeah,
it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And we have an annual event that comes in DC, and we have these soapbox events. And I definitely want you guys to talk to our students or our CEO.
No, we will be there. We want to be part of that. That sounds right up our alley.
Yes.
It's going to be. Yeah, it's everything that we believe in. So yeah, we'll die on that hill too. We'll be right there with you, dead and bleeding. Okay, so go check out the MIKVA Challenge. Go check out Sonari Glinton's fabulous Substack about how vanilla is actually black, which is not about ice cream. It's about all kinds of other things. It's very important. You should go read all of the stuff. And your movie that you're in, if we want to go see your movie.
Oh, it's Soul on Fire. Elie Wiesel, the Life of Elie Wiesel. It just premiering in Florida of all places. It's in theaters in New York. It is in Florida. It should be on PBS stations coming this fall.
Dope.
That's amazing. If there is still PBS this fall. Okay.
There will be. We'll make sure of it. God damn it.
Go buy some tote bags. All right. We're going to take a break now. Sonari, you are very, very invited to stick around for the rest of the show.
I'll stick around. Can I take a water break?
You can take your water break. We're going to play a song actually from one of our local friends here, something that he created while we do our water breaks. And then we'll be back with the second half of the show, and then maybe the third half of the show, depending on how much time Brian wants to stay up for. And, we'll do all of that. All right, so we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Sonari Glinton. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond. Sweeps.
What have I done in the past to make you so cold?
Huh? Take your feelings out the equation, you'll understand what's going on. Let's do it. If you ain't got that, I feel sorry for you. And y'all ain't where it's at, I'm not following you. So you should try that on the college recruit. Pro level and pro-rated. Niggas pro-rated. Great quota, take note of what I notated. Solid gold and gold-plated, you just don't weigh it. If you got smoke, save it. If it's low-rated, don't say it. That shit is so jaded. Microphone checking in, I'm post-dated. Go your own way, I'm in a different location. Cause Ola don't play, I'm known as Simmer Saltated. As the drummer drum, I become a drum. I'm a one of none, you a one and done. Saint on the beat, the killer and the priest. And I've been unleashed, the mode is on beast. Sheesh.
It made me an animal.
It's roots to this.
I wrote me a manual.
It's roots to this. I'm a survivor. Bigger than animal. I've been in this game for years.
It made me an animal.
It's roots to this.
I wrote me a manual.
It's roots to this. Never
Yeah.
I'm a survivor. Bigger than animal.
To my city, I'm something like an apostle. The way I kick art by law, this should be martial. Yeah, this collaboration's colossal. Next time you see a run like this, I'll be a fossil. From now to then, all you seeing is elevation. I'm at a peak you can't reach with preparation. I only speak real, you ain't understanding the cadence in the booth. I get to cooking, I ain't tying my apron on. The shit I do with a pen is a crime. With every line I prove, I'm ahead of my time. Betting against me, you gon' lose every time. Difference between me and you is I really live what I rhyme. I put rappers in their place like real estate. Y'all niggas two-faced, real and fake. I'm the animal, but y'all are the real snakes. If you don't love, kill a cow, that's real hate.
It made me an animal.
It's roots to this.
I wrote me a manual.
It's roots to this. Never letting up. I'm a survivor.
Hey, yo, ADSC. I gotta get some things off my chest, Slim. Y'all forgive me. Long overdue. Yeah, preach the no man. Listen, your mama used to say, keep an eye on the sparrow. That's fine to half of your body chewed by a pterodactyl. Why you do that ramming hip hop? Yeah, they used to babble. Kept my focus down them same bitch niggas calling me Pharaoh. Preach the no man, hun, begging your pardon. The pocket knocking, now they pay the price for my jargon. Your whole catalog, iffy. 4 bars, fried Bama's crispy. I got your ashes on my deck, sipping that fine whiskey. Get with me or get out of my HOV lane. I spit the song of Solomon, she coming by the refrain. I'm all of that. $500 bottles of Armagnac. All you cognac niggas like, what the fuck is Armagnac? Grown man fans. Hope you got a problem with that. I'm the 10 Commandments, the manual plus the almanac. The wonder I'm a priest. Y'all forget Alzheimer's? I'm like go-go, work the pocket like new vagina. Damn right, sick of new choice. Niggas Twitter beefing in person, they just too moist. Now they go on peace, bring the doves like True Goy. I know killers in a plug 1, plug 2 on the new boys. That's all mothers. Got a chip on my shoulder, man. Been reppin' DC before the first Motorola. Out of town, they was booing, and here they didn't get it yet. But I'm a prophet, everyone after me is a bigger threat. Priest, it made me an animal.
It's roots to this.
Man, I wrote me a manual.
It's roots to
There's levels to this.
I'm a survivor.
Thought I tried to told you.
I've been in this game for years.
It made me an animal.
It's roots to this.
I wrote me a manual.
It's roots to this. Never letting up. I'm a survivor. Bigger than animal.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
That was a very abrupt end, but that, yeah, that's ADST's new track, Animal. You probably heard Priest on there, so, you know, a bunch of friends. And still with us is Sonari Glinton, who is very cool and decided to hang out with us, which is surprising to all of us involved.
Yeah, to everyone here. It's gonna be great.
It's not that late.
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Tell our producer that he's just gonna
kill us.
You know how abruptly the song just shut off? That's how this is gonna shut off eventually. It's just gonna go black, fade to black eventually.
All right, so now we've come to the part of the show, which is where we do the headlines. These are the headlines that have come to us from the news. And
oh, you got the bell.
Guess what? I found it where my badass kids were playing with it. I don't know what the hell they were. No, I figured out what they were doing. They had a buzzer too. They were doing like a game show thing. So like,
not there. It can't be.
Yeah, they're creative.
Better
Good for them.
It's actually more the proper use than what we use it for.
I don't know. It's sort of the same idea. You get it right, you get the bell.
We're never wrong.
Okay. So do you want to go first or second?
I'll let you go first. You can go first.
I go first. All right. The government shutdown ended this week as 8 Democrats found a way to somehow be worse at negotiating than Chuck Schumer.
Jesus Christ. The vote the vote was 60-40 after 8 Dems finished a marathon negotiation with Lucy and a football.
Yes. All right. Following the Senate vote, the House called back into session, but Mike Johnson still refused to swear in Adelita Grijalva on the basis that she sounds Mexican.
Jesus Christ. Senator Timmy Kaine was the only member of the local delegation to vote to end the shutdown, meaning that for once, Chris Van Hollen looks like the smart one. Christ.
Yes. Grijalva would be, this already happened, would be the critical vote to force the House to vote yes or no to release the Epstein files. The question is now, how far will House Republicans go to cozy up to the ever crucial pedophile constituency?
Jesus Christ. I just keep saying it. Several, I should sometimes read ahead in this show. Several Dems in the House also voted to reopen the government, proving that Democrats will never stand firm when they are winning, but will stand firm on the need to wear dashikis in the Capitol Rotunda. That's the one I wanted.
I don't know how proud I am of that one, but that's an incredible sentence.
It did happen.
It did happen.
Neil too, I think.
Yeah. They did the whole thing. Denari, do you want to take one?
Okay, do I just pick one?
We're down to Trump has moved the USS Gerald Ford.
Okay, Trump has moved the USS Gerald Ford into the Caribbean in what looks to be an attack on Venezuela. The carrier uses all new magnetic catapults to launch planes, so I'll let Trump explain why it won't work.
Let's see if Brian's got the video ready.
Let's see.
Not a chance.
Is it filibuster?
It's not going to work.
Nope. Moving right along.
It's Trump talking about how magnets don't work when they get wet, which I just, okay.
I guess it's
you, Tez. You're up.
It's me. As the looming war in the Caribbean scares normal countries, some of them have begun reacting. Britain and Canada both now are refusing to share intelligence with the United States, and France is continuing to refuse to get a job or take a shower. Come on.
Ew.
Jesus Christ, man. I don't got a problem with the French.
Oh, come on.
It's you.
It's hey, I write it. You could write the show. American Catholic bishops met to issue 2 important statements this week. One was that they would seek to support and aid migrants in these troubled times. And the second was they would like J.D. Vance to excommunicate himself.
All right.
Go ahead, Sonari. You want one?
Speaking of Vance, a tweet he posted in December of 2021 reads, "What possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's clients secret?" And just this week, the House Oversight Committee answered that in a way he likely didn't mean.
That's right. Cy Young Awards were announced. So if you want to win one, make sure your last name starts with the letters S and K. Skeens and Scuball, just in case anybody's paying attention. All right, Ted, go ahead.
Trump attended the Washington Commies game, making him the least popular thing there since Jaden Daniels dislocated elbow. Fucking team, man. I can't believe. Anyways, I'm not talking about that shit right now.
I'm not proud of that. I am proud of that.
If anybody wants to listen to something, go listen to who is it? Is it Mike Russo is going? He's going off about this. I think. If anybody wants to hear a funny rant about the government shutdown and him being very upset that the president was talking Saints football with Vilma, that shit was painful. I'm sorry. Continue.
Speaking of painful, there's a bounty on that episode. All right.
Get yourself out.
Let's. Okay. Trump was loudly booed at the game, which was impressive since by the time he showed up, the Commanders were losing badly and half the fans had already left. All right, Sonari, you want to try another one?
Trump has been asking that the new stadium be named after him, but if the district was going to name the stadium after a putrid example of human failure and depraved behavior, they would just keep calling it RFK.
That's the best one. That's the best one. That's fucking in here.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god. That's a good one. I got a doctor friend who like runs a statewide medical system, and he was just like talking about how imagine like literally, this is his worst nightmare.
It
Like, this is a
is.
dude who has gone off cutting. This is my friend who was cutting people's ties in 2005, and then RFK is like, every day he's like, every day I want to jump off a building.
Please
Oh,
don't.
don't do that.
No,
The
no,
only
he's
way
not
to
going
die
to.
is to not take vaccines. Sorry.
Yeah, I hear ivermectin cures building falls. So, just try that, I guess. All right. Who wants the last one?
I guess I'll take the last one.
Okay.
And finally, the Blue Origin space mission, New Glenn, which would have delivered NASA probes to Mars orbit, was grounded by bad space weather, which is the same thing Jeff Bezos cited when he couldn't get his rocket to work either. Oh, God. I don't know why I love
All right. Those are the headlines. We're very proud of that.
Oh, God. Oh.
All right, let's go right to the rundown. This is the part of the show where I tell you about some stuff that's going on in the news. If we were real news guys, it would sound a little something like this.
Panama won today. Thank you very much. Panama just won.
Way to focus, Brian.
From Beltway Radio and beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy-nominated TV newsman and just bona fide sexual beast, J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the show where I tell some stuff about well, maybe not me, but somebody else is going to tell some stuff about what's happening in the news. So what's going on in the news, fellas?
Thanks, Jay. All right, of course, the big story is the shutdown is over. Now, for us here in Washington, this means that people are possibly going to get paid again. Don't know. There was already a law on the books.
There's an act. Yes, there's already. Anyways, I'll get to this in a minute. I'm sorry.
There was already a law that said they had to get paid.
Jesus
Christ. They felt the need to include that in the other bit of reopening the government, probably because Trump said no, he wasn't going to pay them, which, again, not how laws work. So, and Trump signed it. What was it, last night? I think it got to him. He signed it. Bunch of Dems voted for this in the House. And I was playing a game with a friend of mine who's a Hill guy, and we're trying to figure out like why, right? And some of them you could figure it out because of like their district that they're in, or like what's in it for them, maybe, or because it's a foregone conclusion, it doesn't really hurt them to vote for it. But this was nothing. This was 43 days.
Yeah, it's
of pain.
Yeah, for no reason.
To achieve zero. And when the Democrats, like, it's shocking. I mean, it's not that shocking, but it's shocking that, like, they had the messaging working finally. They had the polling working finally. They won big in elections across the country in all of this, the off year here in Virginia, in New Jersey, and in droves. And all of the polling showed that the shutdown was playing in their favor. And the healthcare issue was a salient issue. Even Marge was out here talking about, hey, we need these subsidies because my kids can't afford their healthcare. And then Timmy and the gang were just like, that's enough. We want to promise to vote on this in the second week of December. Let's just say Thune keeps his word, which is unlikely at best.
Let's say it passes the Senate.
Yeah,
let's just say it
passes the Senate. Babyface McSteal your government there, Mike Johnson, is like, I'm not raising no fucking vote on that. And even if they tried to discharge petition it, Trump will just fucking veto it.
I was gonna say, right, exactly. So
there's nothing gained here. The only leverage the Dems had was the shutdown. They exercised the leverage. They pulled that lever hard, and they were gaining traction, and they fucking blew it. Fucking blew it. They're like the Jets of politics. Can't win.
Yeah, they didn't win tonight either.
Right. The Jets.
Schumer and the Jets. It fits.
I don't know. I mean,
sorry.
Go ahead, Sonari.
Well,
you're the expert.
I'm not an expert. I did cover the Senate for NPR for a while, and it is hard to imagine Nancy Pelosi in the Senate allowing this to happen.
Right.
And I think that is like one of the things.
She would hold them people together.
Durbin needs to step down as a whip because he ain't whip shit.
Well, one of the things that she should tell you is that you should know how to count votes. Right. You should know where your party is at all times and what they need. And now this is not me, I'm not a New Yorker. What do I know about Schumer? But I do. But if he can't get Dick Durbin, well, one, I don't think it was the defection because Dick Durbin is the whip. Or now I'm not sure about him being the whip. But anyway, Dick Durbin has been in leadership for so long and is so important. And the idea that Chuck Schumer and the Dems couldn't get one of the most important Democrats and hold him in line says something about what's happening. Durbin, for instance, is, he's retiring, is on his way out the door. So, you can look at him as saying, I don't want to see the government shut down. This is fundamentally against who I am. But strategically and politically, this is a big L for them, mainly because just party solidarity is something you cannot imagine a Nancy Pelosi type leader allowing this to happen. Heads would be rolling.
Never. The phone calls would be quick and easy. You ever want to see another dollar of fundraising again, you better get in line. And that's it. I can't. I don't know what the strategy plays. It is notable that every Democratic senator that voted for this is either not up for re-election in 2026 or retiring.
It's damning to see that.
It's damning to see that because it means they're fucking cowards. And like they don't, they're only in it for their own political survival. I can't, and like Timmy bothers me the most here because he's my senator. I know him. He's a harmonica player like me. Like there's a lot of things that we have in common, and I don't understand why he did this after being such a fierce advocate for all the federal workers for so long, and for what we call the Virginia way, a very like pragmatic governance. That he had this was teed up to be the perfect vehicle for him to really rise and be like, we're standing firm with our federal workers. The federal workers wanted the shutdown to continue because they want the health care. They think that's important. It pulled, all the feds were saying the same thing. No, hold the line. And he blew it. And until what? Till January? We're going to do this shit all over again?
If you wanted to do this right as the Democrats, right, at least, and that's where you get to the point where, like, obviously no one, Schumer doesn't have control of them at all, is that you could have communicated that this was going to be the end of it, right? You could have walked people up to a line and said, hey, we're going to continue to do this. And if it got to that point where you said, hey, we are going to move to open the government, you would have people going out and communicating that. Not a fucking random alert that pops up that says, "Oh, we think we got 8." Like it was just
on a Sunday night in the middle of football. Like what is this? What is this? That's
I have
like Friday news dump on steroids. Nobody's paying attention. You're negotiating this in the middle of the night over a weekend.
I don't know. Maybe I guess Thanksgiving was coming up and they wanted to go home. That's what it seems.
Well, guess what? It gets worse.
Yeah.
Check this out. The legislation that passed includes this extra nice little tidbit that says that the Republicans who are suing the Justice Department for damages for being investigated for January 6th, they get $500,000 each. That's pretty good, right? The legislation retroactively makes it illegal in most cases to obtain a senator's phone data without disclosure and allows those whose records were obtained by the Justice Department with warrants to sue the Justice Department for $500,000 per violation. So if you've got 3 or 4 phone numbers, which a lot of senators do, they're getting a windfall. Along with attorney's fees and costs, the Justice Department could opt to settle the lawsuits. Well, who controls the Justice Department?
Right. And
we know what I think.
Bondi's going to fight? No.
Well, I think that the bigger story is the fissures in the party, right? So it's like you got the liberal wing, which was holding, and the moderates, what we call the moderates, who want to hold out. And like I think this is this says, I think, as much about why Biden, was so late in stepping down, is that core leadership in the party. Nancy Pelosi stepping down, but it's really without Nancy and these huge leaders. You got Jim Clyburn and those people who are
right.
I was covering Congress 15 years ago, and they were old then, right? This is about that core group of leadership, and I think the Democrats have a much bigger problem. I mean, the Republicans are off with your head,
and everybody's off with your head.
Yeah, but they're in a cult, so that's not really fair. But let me ask you this then, since you brought up the leadership question, there was that time, right? So Clyburn, Pelosi, Conyers, there was leaders, and then now there's this a bit of a new batch, I would say. You've got Ro Khanna, you've got Jayapal, you've got Tammy Duckworth. There's a few of these people who feel like they might step into that kind of fierce leader position. Not that Tammy Duckworth stepping into anything, that's a poor choice of words, but it's just sorry. But there's, is there some emerging next generation that will take the place and be as effective as Pelosi? I mean, Pelosi is the only speaker in modern history to take the House back. That's just never going to happen again, right? I mean, what is Ro Khanna that? Is Jayapal that? I mean, what are we looking at?
I mean, I think that it's the people who are going to be in leadership are not necessarily the people, this is my opinion, are not on the hustings necessarily now. Because you have to have some real change, and there's a lot of blood to be let. I think one, Hakeem Jeffries is a handpicked successor.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily he's not necessarily of the people. And I think that the Democratic Party has gotten a little not democratic. I think that that's kind of the thing. It's about compromise and rough and tumble, and that's really what it is they need to come to consensus. And I think that the people who we think are leading on the outside really should be the people who are leading on the inside, right? The people who have the voices, the AOCs, the Texas, I'm blanking on her name, the Texas sister,
Jasmine Crockett.
Thank you.
Yeah,
these are people who are able to do it both ways, and I think there was such a no from Pelosi. Right, we underestimate her power in the party and in Congress, and she was no to the AOCs and those people, and that's the rift. But really, when the money people go away, the Nancy Pelosi's and whatnot, that's also what I think people are really, really afraid of. Is so what are we going to do without the people who raise the money?
Yeah, what are we going to do? I mean,
and will an AOC be a person who can raise the money?
So right? AOC can raise money. Crockett can raise money. Presley can not raise money. She's not that. She's ideological, right? But Duckworth is a bomb thrower. She's great at that. She on the Senate side and making those fights. Khanna is really good at working the system. Swalwell's a bit effective at working system, and using committee stuff. You've got Moskowitz, who's good at using the committees to generate attention, but is attention the leadership? I mean, what Pelosi could do, to your point, she could count votes and she could whip votes.
And she didn't bring them to the floor that then had the votes to win.
And she was smart enough.
But she was so disciplined. I don't think that there's ever gonna she's the what was the Outsiders? What was the Malcolm Gladwell book? Who's gonna be she's a child of a mayor.
I was gonna say
Baltimore mayor. No,
built to be the speaker. Who wants to be the Speaker of the House? Nancy Pelosi wanted to be the Speaker of the House. Never wanted to be president. Wanted to be Speaker of the House. And I think that one of the things that's going to happen is but people like Tammy Duckworth, who is an acolyte of Rahm Emanuel of his time in the DCCC. I mean, she's one of those people who I really do feel because of the people that she kneecapped on her way to power, she seems to have an ability that isn't seen, that I don't see often, that's in behind the scenes. And that's the thing. it's like there's a good speech maker and then the person who can whip the party. And in the Senate, it's like it is not about who these people are. It's just he isn't doing the job. And then, God forbid, the House is so lackluster. I really do think that one, you're going to have to get the Clyburns and the everybody over 80, is going to have to step down, which is still a thing, which is crazy to me.
It's crazy.
Right. And that's really where it is. But all the heat and all the energy is in people who don't have seniority. And those are the people who can get people outside excited. And they're also, people like AOC, though, now is starting to raise money and being able to have some long tail with some of her colleagues. So you should see, I wonder what this next 2026 is going to be. Bloodletting everywhere in the Democratic Party, at least.
So let me ask you this, since we've got you and you have a better read on this than maybe. I don't think there's going to be an election in 26. I think that Trump is going to stage some sort of emergency and try to stop there from being an election in 2026. Am I a crazy person, or is that a likely scenario?
Is that for me?
Tez already thinks I'm a crazy person.
I think this is. I'm not. I don't believe that's going to happen.
I'm gonna go to the thing my dad used to say. He's like, anybody can change their life in 18 months. Anything can happen in 18 months. Most of us, it's like, unless you're incredibly ill or 102, you're likely to live another 18 months. Now, I have seen, like, maybe this is a conspiracy that the rabbit hole that I'm down. I am not bought into that this president can last to an election cycle. I would love for some, I'm not wishing for anybody, but like every doctor that I talk to, right, and I follow them on the accounts, they're like, this dude is not healthy.
He had an MRI exactly 6 weeks after he went to Walter Reed, which is exactly the interval by which you get checked after a heart attack, just in case anybody's curious.
Or a stroke. Right. Yeah. You physically are seeing him.
The office ages people. It ages everybody. And he's done it.
I mean, they already have to call it the White House, the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Like they have to have a sign so that he knows where to go there. Right. So I don't think long-term thoughts about this, about any 78-year-old who has not been healthy. I don't think, like I said, normally, actuarially speaking, most of us are going to live another 18 months unless we have some issues. And this is what we don't know about his health. I mean, God knows what we don't know about his health.
I hear he's 225, 6'4", and in the best health of any person who's ever lived.
The man was asleep the other day.
For 20 minutes.
Man, woman, person, camera, TV. He's fine. What are you talking about?
He was sleeping.
He fell asleep while they were talking about him.
20 minutes.
That's sad.
That looks like me in the middle of a NASCAR race. You know, when you take that nap around like lap 50 to about lap 200, it's like
in between the 1 o'clock games and the 4 o'clock games. You take a little 20-minute nap. That's sweet.
But if that is the case, what your question was, will it be an election? There is something, maybe who's going to be the last person to give up on an idea? I don't want to be the last person to give up on an idea. However, it not having an election feels like who can justify that?
We had one in a pandemic. They had one in a pandemic. They had one through the Civil War. They had one through a Civil War.
We had one during a Civil War, but slightly different.
Slightly different. Yeah, but still, like
But okay, but like I'm saying, like that would be the end of it, right? If an election gets postponed or put off or doesn't happen, that would be the end of the republic.
Is it the end? It's not. It's at the end. No, we fight to go and to have elections. And will there be intimidation in this elections? And like maybe the National Guard's walking around.
Said he's going to send poll watchers or whatever to California,
and they can watch. But like that's fine. Do that if you have the authority to do that. You can go ahead and do that. But people will go out and cast their fucking ballots.
They did 2-1 in California.
They're going to go out and cast their ballots. They're going to do that. The American people will do that.
Right, but if he like
the elections are run by the
election.
Now, if you say the elections are run by the states, though, like that's the thing. Like you can't cancel
you and your silly laws. He doesn't care about that shit. He's already out here trying to do all these things.
But the states will hold up, and there's more elections. Election day isn't just for the federal offices.
Yeah, I mean, we got mayor of West Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tied to the national election, so we gotta go vote for something.
Somebody's gonna go vote.
Virginia has an election every 5 minutes. I'm very aware of like how often we have these elections. I'm just saying that the election for Congress, what we're talking about is, are there going to be election consequences for the Republican behavior, whether it's the shutdown, whether it's the tax cuts, or the if there's no election, there's no punishment.
Most of the places, this is. I mean, I'm not. John Lewis, may he rest his soul. I remember going up and seeing him talk to a group of students, and he said, be angry, be very angry, but have hope. The one thing that I will not give up on is just the very idea of an election. Same. Like if Americans give up on that, then if we give up on that, then I'm out. Right?
Yeah. I'm not wanting this to happen. I'm just fearful of it.
But on the lead up to an autocracy or any of those things, I mean, when we can make comparisons, there are two things: a popular leader, for whatever people want to say about other Hitler or whatever. At least he was he was popular poll wise. He wasn't like, at least the German people were like,
supported him.
Yeah. And there was a good economy. Those are two things that if you're in your march to authoritarianism, you kind of have to have. Now, when vanilla beans reach $24, right? It's just like, when this Christmas, you know what, Chip? I tell you, it's this Christmas.
Okay.
Because
you can only get $2 now.
No, wait, I thought we were getting 5, not 35.
I'm not hearing, I live in Los Angeles, and there are a couple of toy companies that make big toys out here, and I know some people out there, and it ain't looking good for the biggest of the toy makers. Right? So now we're going to reach new spending highs, I think, because people are going to spend a lot of money.
Also because of inflation.
Exactly. But we're gonna have a record-setting Christmas and Black Friday, potentially, knock wood, whatever. But I don't know if that's going to mean anything. And I think people are going to see, when they go out into the stores, prices for things that they used to pay for, like shrimp.
Radioactive shrimp.
Like people, like this is, like, I mean, there's some basic things. I mean, shrimp may not be basic, but that's one of the things that's going to go up.
No, right? I mean, one of the things that I use as a barometer is I track the price of bacon in my local store. And I look at the price of bacon as an indicator, because it tells you a lot of things. It is a little bit cyclical based on time of year, but it also tells you a lot about how much pork we're selling overseas. And if we're selling very little pork overseas, it tanks the price of bacon, followed immediately by this giant spike because now you've got no inventory. And it's just it is a way to track it. And bacon prices have gone from the store brand, giant brand, $3.99 a pound to store brand $5.99 a pound in the course of about 18 months. And that is telling me something important. Bacon, also pay a close attention to butter, because unlike milk, which has all that regulation on it, on how it's priced relative to the distance from Wisconsin, which is the fucking weirdest pricing system I've ever heard of, butter isn't governed that way. So if you watch the price of butter, that is a great indicator for how things are going.
Butterfat in general, because you can see like that's the price that is in your ice cream and
Right.
other things. Like butter is one of those weird things that you can notice it. I mean, and it does go up. It'll go up because of a drought. It'll go up because of, but we normally, because of just like the fluctuations, we don't see these big spikes. But we're seeing the big spikes because of tariffs and whatnot. I mean, people do not understand the calamities. I mean, it's in vague things. Like I say, it's in toy cars, not necessarily because the big cars can walk around. It's in dolls. It's in all of those things. It's in wrapping paper.
Yeah.
And nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts. Because you got to have your fruit cakes. And like the people who are making the fruit cakes, the Collins Street Bakery in Corsicana, Texas, like that is where you're going to see. That's where you see it. And like people, buy 12 fruitcakes, right? And like, I don't know, like a fruitcake that's $38 last year, that's now $44.
It's percentage increase, and but at the same time, Big Mac index is improving. Personal spending power is improving, but people aren't feeling that. But all of that is to say that, like, I'm not saying that I want there to be the end of the republic. I want to have hope. I do have hope. I need Tez as my moral compass here on a lot of this stuff, because he, as an immigrant, he can remind me how great this country is.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I didn't sign up for this shit.
Don't tell anybody.
I didn't sign up for this shit to just not fight for it. Fuck that.
I'm all in. I'm ready to fight. But I am concerned about how I have to fight. And if the one way is to fight by coming on my stupid radio show and, writing columns on Substack or whatever, that's a good fight. I'm ready to have that fight. If it's something a little more physical, I don't really want to have that fight. That's not the fight I'm ready to do it, but that's not what I signed up for. You know what I mean? So
do we really? I mean, that's what I think of. It's like, it's so much easier to show your distaste now and to really affect the world. But at the same time, I don't want to be, I have a professor, a friend whose grandfather was a German Jewish nationalist. He got the word wrong. Like, he got it at the wrong time. That's what I'm saying. It's like, at what point do we go? And what I think is really interesting, and this is a sea change as someone who's connected to Black folks in the diaspora, America has lost its shine, and that is a sad thing. I don't think people really people in the middle of the country do not understand. I mean, not just in the middle of the country, everywhere. People don't really understand that we've lost that. Oh, obviously,
people don't want to come here.
Yeah, and rent in Cambridge is showing you this, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
when
rent is getting cheaper in Boston and in Cambridge. In Los Angeles, we think that it's Hollywood that's in trouble. No, the biggest employer in the city of Los Angeles is USC, and look at the number of labs that are shut because of this attack. Like, really, we're going to feel some pain. And that's the thing. That's like the hopeful part, because you can't, like, it's hard. The long tail of this bad economy, from the fights on academia, automotive, all those things are going to have a long tail, and we're going to be dealing with this for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's going to take forever to put it back together. But
how we rebuild it is going to be very important. That's going to be
and who's involved in
who's involved with it.
Yeah, and you can guess who's not going to be involved. All right. Speaking of which, so we did mention that Rudy is celebrating an anniversary of sorts, right? He's celebrating his what do you want to call it? Press conference, I guess.
It's such a fucking wild time.
Event at the lawn care company at Four Seasons, and so that was 5 years ago. He was given a gift. What gift was he given, Tez?
A pardon, right?
He got a pardon. Yes, him and a bunch of his friends.
Yeah.
And what did they get a pardon for?
I guess for anything around if they were supporting those fake ballots and just anything around January 6th in general, for trying to overturn the election.
Yeah, basically they got a blanket pardon, and not just them, everybody, like who could have ever been involved. It's a little like the Carter amnesty for the draft dodgers, where it was just this like, and anybody else. That's the way this is written. So Rudy and Mark Meadows, Sidney Powell, bunch of winners. They all now, none of them are facing federal charges. So this doesn't seem to really like matter that much in the immediate. But I do think that this sends a signal, okay? Which I've been saying before is that the Trump signal is go and do violence on my behalf and I will pardon you. And I do think that that is part of what is being sent here. I would consider trying to subvert an election to be pretty un-American and borderline violence. And then, we'll skip ahead to it, but I think that this kind of like dovetails with the attacks on Venezuela, or the impending attacks on Venezuela. We have a situation in the Caribbean where the U.S. military is blowing boats out of the water with absolutely no authorization to do so. They're killing people.
Yeah. This is madness.
They're killing people based on this self-designation. Like, we called you a narco-terrorist and then we blew you up. And I often run these by friends of mine who are high-ranking in the military when I have these questions about this, or retired folks. And, one of the things that they very steadfastly hold on to is that the United States military will not obey an order that is unlawful. And I'm like, well, all right. And I always ask the question, what happens if the unlawful order comes down? What do they do? Well, the JAGs basically work it out and say, this is what you need to change the order to be to make it lawful. And then usually command reorganizes that and then makes the order lawful. Right now, there is no authorization for use of force for anything remotely resembling what's happening in Venezuela, in the Caribbean, and in the Eastern Pacific. When Obama was striking American citizens in Somalia, that wasn't great, or Yemen, not great. He was ostensibly using the authorization for force that was tied to 9/11 and the global war on terror. The Trump people have not cited a single legal justification for their efforts, except to say that they are calling them narco-terrorists. There was a story in the paper this week about that Rubio and Hegseth basically got a briefing gave a briefing, to the senators that said, hey, we can't really go much farther because we don't have any legal justification for doing this. And the senators therefore backed off of the vote to admonish them for what they're doing. They basically said, this is as far as we can go. There's still nothing that what they're doing is not legal, as far as I can tell. I believe that is a test of what can Trump order the military to do that is unlawful, that they will continue to obey. So now you have a setup where you've got paramilitary, January 6th, insert word here, brown shirts, being given blanket pardons to commit violence on behalf of Trump and his goals. And you have segments of the U.S. military who are being tested, and some of which are apparently willing to carry out orders that may not be lawful. And to Sonari's point earlier about how do you get into the autocracy, those things do seem like they are pathways to that. Now, convince me I'm not crazy or why I'm wrong, but that does seem like what I'm seeing happening here.
And what I worry about is the number of people who left the military. Like a lot of the generals, my concern was, I knew some people, very high up in the military in the first Trump administration. And the thought was, well, I had that calm that like, oh, well, at least the right people, well, all those people got fired. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of those people got fired or got let go. And there's been a lot of bloodletting in the use that phrase too much. There's a lot of, people who lost their jobs in the military, and like a lot of folk who, we don't follow unlawful, like those are the people, the knuckle dragger, all the knuckle draggers are there.
Yeah.
We don't know we don't know whether the people who are like democracy, constitution are still there.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
I mean, it should be concerning. They're killing people with no, like, the American government has been killing people for a long time. Like, so I'm not trying to make it like, oh, this is something.
Oh yeah,
brand
it's
new.
our national pastime. We were talking
national
about baseball earlier.
baseball.
That's not right.
Cambodia.
Right.
Add it to the list, Scenario. I mean, Jesus Christ.
But
I'm just using that. That's like the example that I'm just
that's
like,
the
you've been
obvious
there,
one,
you're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're not the greatest.
They're not yet, and I mean that alone, right? That we don't know what these people are doing on these boats. Like, right? There's no
Fishing, apparently. Some of them.
Some people are fishing.
Were guys from Trinidad fishing.
Yeah, I think the only difference I still have a belief that there are folks in the military that will push back, but their pushback is to resign, right? I'm blanking on the guy's name who resigned a few weeks ago, right? Who was over this? He said he couldn't do it.
Yeah, well, but like, okay, so then what do you do? I mean, even if it, like Millie, kind of went out in a flash and wrote a book about it, but it doesn't move the needle.
I mean, this sounds terrible, but I mean, you're equating them. I see where they can play in the I guess the same sandbox, but you're saying that this would also tie into them. I guess, I mean, you designating American organizations, nonprofits as terrorists, and then they're going in and they're killing people. Is that I don't think that is going
so they
to happen.
designated Antifa a terrorist organization. They designated these guys on fishing boats terrorists and then blew them up. What is in Antifa? Don't know. I mean, Eisenhower, but like, what are we talking about here? And if you're giving license to people to commit violence on behalf of Trump, where there's no legal recourse, they're going to get a blanket pardon. Your cousin Enrique is out there. Like, what are we doing with this?
I see where you're going with it. I find it to be a little alarmist, though. I mean, but I don't want to sit there and say no. The action that is happening is not. But where you say it's going to,
I don't know. What would Elie Wiesel say about like feeling a little alarmed about seeing this movie again?
I mean, it's like you'd have to be like, I think from our point of view or the pedestrian point of view is to be loud. And like that's where it is, right? It's like, where are you showing up in your community in those places? My sister always jokes that there was only one devil. He shows up in different places. You have to fight the one that's nearest you. And I feel like that is, it's so scary because there's nothing that I can do about a military decision.
Right?
However, my congressman be knowing who I is.
Yeah.
All right, that's just like, right. I mean, that's really.
You mean the one that let the government reopen without getting any health care because he's outnumbered? I mean, I'm not throwing water on your magnet, so to speak, but like I get what you're saying. People say this all the time. The people will not stand for it. We can go in the street.
People in Congress are upset about this too, though. There are people in Congress that are looking at this like, yo, what the hell is going on? I mean, it's not enough, but there's a decent amount of folks who have spoke up.
If you're relying on Rand Paul, you've already lost. Like that is what I'm saying.
So should we be buying gold and moving to Portugal? Is that what you're
Only
saying?
if you can shoot gold out of a 20 gauge, yeah.
Ruin the economy.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Buy some stuff.
But I don't know. I'm not saying I know what the thing to do is, but like the reason I'm here is because my grandfather and his brother were like, "Oh fuck, we gotta go," and I'm here, and like I don't want to do that.
Well, Chip,
I don't have anywhere to go.
Chip, one of the most interesting things though is what I find, what I don't think that the Republican who is in, or the person who's deep in MAGA understands, is how this has changed. I'm a person, you know, I worked on Mitt Romney's campaign in 1990 something, right? It's like, I'm at the point where I'm like, so I'm not some wild Antifa person, right? I worked in public radio, but that seems like wild.
Yeah. It's
But
not as leftist as people think.
Definitely not. Trust me, it's not.
Yuri Berliner was very clear about that.
No, but I mean, like but this is how integrated it was. I was the only black man to ever cover business or politics in like 20 years. So, and in the history of the organization, there's never been a black man to host one of the major shows. Juan Williams was on a special show. But the idea that a decade ago, if you said leave America, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Right now, I think it's foolish, especially for African Americans, to not have some sort of, or queer people or whatever. I mean, my queer friends who have the option are not here. Right. It's like, and I think it would be foolish as a child of people who left the place to not be thinking of where we should be going. Now, that doesn't mean, but at the same time, I'm like, half of me is I'm all of the black diaspora in one person. Like, I'm Afro-Latino, I'm Nigerian, I'm half Nigerian. So my dad's from Nigeria, my mother's from, it's like, well, all the blood of my people is in here. But then I wonder if black folks and other people are looking the way our other, the way Jamaicans or other people look, and they're like, they're not that tied to this place, right? Or any individual place where it is. And I think that really, that idea that I'm an average Negro, all right, and got no money, ain't got no, and I'm thinking, where should I be going? That should be really, if America cared,
that's jarring.
It should be scary.
It's terrifying.
It's jarring. Like, what?
I don't have anywhere to go. I started looking. I was trying to figure out, could I like leave to go to Ireland? They're like, no, we don't want you. Nobody wants us. Nobody wants Americans.
And that's the thing, is we think we can go someplace.
No.
And I have some friends who moved to Berlin, and they're like, oh, hell no. And they're back. That was during the pandemic. They're back. We made, this is the weird thing, is that Trump and the administration have made us pariahs in the world.
That's right. Nobody wants us.
Nobody
I've got nowhere to flee. So I may as well stay in and fight. But
I think, though, if people do flee, I do think eventually folks will realize and be like, oh, and this place ain't the great. Like, I'm not about to sit here and have but there are places folks will go and be like, oh, I don't have the same type, like, it's different. The way,
it's happening in Ghana. It's happening in places where people have gone, where they don't, I mean, there are a lot of places we can go where this is just like America. There are 1 million Americans in Mexico.
Sure.
Canada, those places. I'm not like, so,
right.
But there is, when people don't want you there, and when you're the immigrant,
crazy.
That's that's going to be a real thing in our American, and they especially, I mean, hell, we're seeing it in Mexico and in Spain. We're like, no, too much of you, please leave.
Italy, Venice, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's that even tourists they don't want to see. Portugal is going through that. It is, and like Ghana's a good example you mentioned, right? This is a modern, developed country, big cosmopolitan cities and all this stuff. You think you can go there and live a life similar to what you can in America until you find out that you can't get a visa longer than 6 months or whatever. They don't want us. They don't want Americans because...
Or the African country, I think it was Burkina Faso. I'm not sure which country, but one of them was like, please come. Like Africans who are... They're like, please come. And then recently, I think it's they're like, oh no, don't come anymore. Like because black folks, we forget that we're American. We show up in places as Americans, right? And our dollar, that's the other thing. While we're undercutting the dollar, that edge that you thought you had, might not be. I mean, I'm looking at the dollar and the euro, that edge that you thought you had, and so.
It's kind of evaporating,
right?
And you're gonna have to run to Kosovo or some other place. Who is it? Luis Suarez, after he bit everybody, he had to go play in Kosovo for like a little while because it was the only non-FIFA organized soccer in the world. They let him back in. It's fine. He's back to biting everybody. All right. So while we're talking about fleeing terrible things, let's talk about the Supreme Court for a hot second here.
The unelected 9.
The unelected 9 did something. They're really good at doing nothing, right? KBJ recently this week figured out how to do nothing and something at the same time, which was very impressive on the SNAP benefit stuff. But they decided not to hear Kim Davis. I don't know. Can we throw her picture up, Brian? Like this lady, if this is the face of the anti-marriage movement, buddy, they got to find somebody better.
I reserve my right to comment.
Yeah. All right. So you may remember that this lady, she worked, she was a clerk in Kentucky, a county clerk who didn't want to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. She didn't even want to like let other people in her office do it, which seems like a fair compromise. And she claimed that she was so hurt by the existence of same-sex marriage that she wanted to, overturn it and or get paid a lot of money. And she fought this up and she kept getting knocked down at every level of the courts. They were like, just let somebody else do it. You're not obliged to do anything you don't want to do, right? You don't want to sign the licenses. It's fine. The guy next to you do. I am a civil celebrant. That is a thing that I do.
You are.
I do weddings. There are like 4 people at my local courthouse who do all those signing the papers. And I know them because I see them all the time. If one of them doesn't like something, he hands it off to the next person. They can do it. It's fine. No big deal, right? She didn't want to do that. So she was like, no, Obergefell must die. And then she lost. The unelected 9 were like, nah, we don't even want to hear that case because her case is weak sauce. Like there's nothing here. And now she's got to pay all of her legal bills and all of her lawyer fees. And she's got nothing for it. And, look at her.
I will be Debbie Downer.
Oh,
because this case was never going to go anywhere.
Right.
It was not. However, now I don't remember the exact case, but there was another case that came up in the court in this session, already in this session, where they undercut that you automatically, how many thousands of rights you get when you have marriage, right? Well, that was a case where they're like, the rights are not necessarily inherent. So one of the more interesting cases where they were like, they struck at the idea that there are these 1,000 inherent advantages you get from being married, that they're automatically tied to marriage, right? And that so literally the court undercut a more basic idea about marriage equality that allows them to go back and keep doing it.
I believe they're going after Obergefell later. This is just a poor vehicle for it. And
yeah, this wasn't strong enough. They're going
to dismantle it like friggin' with voting rights. They'll go by bit, most likely, right?
No, I don't think they're gonna bit by bit. I think they're gonna do it like they did with Roe, and they're gonna find something that is dastardly backwards, like arguing that the 14th Amendment protects white voters in black districts in Louisiana. And they're going to use something like that to knock it down and say that, no, you don't have a fundamental right to this. And that Kennedy was wrong in deciding that the 14th Amendment protects, the 14th Amendment is it depends how you read it. And these guys are figuring it out. And neighbor Clarence and Sam and Alito are like leading the charge. They're like, oh yeah, it means everybody gets equal, not equity, but equal. And that's not the same thing. And that's a problem. Look, if you had to be married to Ginny Thomas, wouldn't you want everybody else to be miserable too? I think that marriage equality guarantees that right to be miserable if you want to be. And that's fine. People should have that right. However, maybe Clarence is telling us something.
And I was just like, this is a piece of useless information that normally would be useless, but then this morning I found myself in this like weird, like weird wormhole. What do they call it when you like go down like some
rabbit hole? Rabbit hole. Yep.
And it was just like the number of gay influencers, porn stars who are MAGA.
Yeah.
And like that, and which is really stunning. I mean, I live in West Hollywood, which is one of the gayest cities in America. It was founded 41 or 2 years ago. And the number, I think that this is, from my time in DC, it's funny, the number of, it's interesting how, the number of people who have hit on me, who are powerful, who I didn't know, who are definitely not out, right?
Oh, you were at CPAC. Yeah, that happens.
Well, no, just in Congress, my friend. Just in Congress, right? They didn't even have to go that far. But it's like when you live in DC, you realize if you're not an ugly black man who's out in DC, you realize like, oh, wow, the world is they're gay Republicans for real. I think that this is one of those things that actually will wake up a sleeping dog, because they're not like, this is connected to enough people in a real way that it might be a thing that it's not like, who knows, who are the people who know trans people, right? It's like the 5 trans people, like, do you know them? It's like, but there's a gay person in your neighborhood, right? And that is really, and I think that the gays who are, the log cabin Republicans don't understand how this is central to the idea of 2025, Project 2025, how this is fundamental to a lot of work. And I think that might be one of those things that scares people, but who knows? Like,
scares them into leaving the MAGA movement.
No, I don't think. I think that I'm not saying that there is any bridge too far, but
we haven't found it yet.
Yeah, because we haven't found it yet. But I do think that the more of the attacks on gay marriage, because it's become anodyne.
It's so like, who cares, right? Yeah,
in some places, but I think in the Deep South and in other places in deep MAGA territory, you don't have to be in Deep South, right? You can be just like in Orange County. That's where it's going. Like, I think that it will affect people in those areas.
Do you think there are people in MAGA locations that are still so bothered by gay marriage, or do you think that a lot of them are like, I was against it, but those two guys seem like they're having a pretty good time, and hey, who cares?
No, I don't think it's that deep. I think it is that the people, the gays who are married have money.
Yeah.
And they have money and they vote. Right. And they know, like, it's like, gay marriage is really like, it's kind of an elite thing, right? And the people who've gotten there are often the people who are, the people I know, like studio executive, blah blah blah. Like they
don't want to pay taxes, so they vote Republican.
But what
you said, the Republican Party could be a big tent party on this show a lot of times if they were like just push the hate to the side.
Yeah, if they got rid of the racism and bigotry,
because black people are generally conservative in general, right? They got black people. We think they can have gays. We think they can have the Latinos, which they have made inroads in anyways. Like, if they just push the hate to the side, I think they could be a huge big tent party. It'd be crazy.
Huge. They would win. They could run the table because you got an uncle. You got an uncle. We all got an uncle.
It doesn't make any sense. Push the hate to the side.
And the reason, what's crazy to me is like how many black men voted for Kamala. That tells you something. Like how over 65, they were like 95%. All you have to do, if you get rid, it's like that's how much black folks hate racism. If you just got rid of that or toned it down a little, you could get 25. Even with Trump, you saw how many you got when you just made overtures. God forbid you stop actively trying to fuck us.
Right.
Like you would have you would just win all the time. Hell, like I said, I worked for Mitt Romney and Bob Dole. Right?
Yeah.
Because Mittens and Bob Dole were not, whatever you think about them. Maybe they ain't racist. Bob Dole was not ain't a Klansman.
Yeah, they did racism in the sort of accidental way where they're like, I'm benefiting from the system, but I'm utterly unaware of it. That kind of thing. They're not like Ronald Reagan out here like, well, how can we do this? They're
Ronald Reagan was calling people monkeys on the phone. So
I mean,
we know where he kicked off his whole shit. So
yeah, we could get down that path.
Pittsburgh. I mean, like, geez, that dude. By the way, I saw a meme that is so funny but so true. It had the chart, and it's like everything's going up, and then it like starts to go down. And
yeah, and it's always Reagan.
Yeah, but that it really, that's a lot of where we got to from. Is like that dude.
Our whole city basically went from like functional, successful, mostly black city to terrible, difficult, dire straits. Took 20 years to recover from because of Reagan. Like Washington, D.C. met Ronald Reagan and went whoop. And then it took us till like the late 90s to get back, give or take.
And it was a different back.
And it was a different back. Yeah. They had to basically flip the city. And I think that was part of the plan, but nevertheless. Okay. Now, Tez is Italian, which is one of the important things about him. And there was an important story. Now, I'm going to let you sort of explain this to the people, but I did check today. Like I mentioned, I did look at the imported Italian pastas in my local grocery store, and some of them were even on sale. So it hasn't quite hit yet. But what is pending for those of us who care about quality pasta?
The big T word. Your pasta is going to get a lot pricier because obviously tariffs are going to be targeting Italian imports. And that's if you can find them in stores at all. I think January U.S. tariff rate on imported pastas from 13 major Italian companies could go as high as 107%.
Yeah.
This is a preliminary U.S. Commerce Department decision. So for the consumers in the United States, this means the cost of your favorite Italian pasta could more than double if the brands decide to pass tariff costs onto retail buyers. Remember, everybody, a tariff is a tax. It's a tax, and usually the consumers are the ones who pay that tax. But I think it's just to the point where it doesn't even make sense, right? Like I was reading the story, it doesn't make sense for them really to even sell it, right? If it's at that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they wouldn't sell it because it would be too expensive. It'd be twice the price, and they wouldn't be able to move it. So there's the 15% blanket tariff on everything coming from the EU, and then this is an anti-dumping tariff. So this isn't one of like, tariff the penguin sort of things.
It did happen.
Trump likes Italy because they've got a pretty blonde lady in charge or whatever. So he's all interested in her. But this is because the Commerce Department is accusing Italy of flooding our markets with cheap pasta, which, I mean, pasta is already about the cheapest stuff you can get, right? I mean, it's a struggle food. That's what I eat when I'm, hungry and I don't want to spend any money. It's $1 a box and off you go. I didn't feel like the Italians were artificially depressing the price of American pasta with their really nicer pasta. I mean,
well, just for the record, the Italians have sell pasta in the U.S.
Not the good stuff
at higher rates. They sell us pasta for more than they sell other countries. Which completely undercuts the idea that they're dumping pasta in the U.S. Just like was point of fact, they're selling pasta to us for more money than they sell to other places.
So I figured out how this happened, and this is all a thing. I watch a lot of sports, so I see commercials, and one of the commercials I've been seeing lately, and that this is where Trump gets all of his information from his television, is that the Olive Garden is back out with the never-ending pasta bowl. And I believe that he saw that commercial and he's like, aha! The Italians with their clever infiltration Olive Gardens are dumping pasta on Americans for $13.99 a bowl with unlimited salad and breadsticks, and this must be stopped. And I think it was the salad that threw him, because he hates salad. I don't know. Tez, catch your people, man. Do something about this.
I couldn't guess.
Handle this. All right, the last thing. Remember we talked about Indiana. Did you know Indiana has a lieutenant governor? We did talk about that. It's this guy who plays a high school teacher, cool high school teacher who takes his jacket off. There he is, Micah Beckwith. You may remember him more recently from his decision to explain to us why the 3/5 compromise was really great and was all not about discrimination, but really about how to eventually end slavery. And it's still one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Well, guess what? Micah Beckwith is even more bizarre. You ready for this?
All right.
A grand jury in Marion County, which is in Indiana, is investigating allegations of ghost employment, par for the course of government officials, sure, and other wrongdoings featuring Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's office. A report filed by the Marion County Grand Jury on October 3rd said that it met in August. So this is, a while ago, and September for an investigation into the distribution of, you ready? Intimate images and ghost employment in the office of the Indiana Lieutenant Governor. It's unclear what the investigation to ghost employment pertains to, but what he was doing was confirmation of the grand jury testimony files, accusations of deep fake AI porn videos that were allegedly shared by his office targeting the wife of a Republican state lawmaker. State Representative Craig Haggard of Mooresville confirmed in August that he was interviewed by the prosecutor's office about the situation. An ex-staffer from Beckwith's office has said publicly that she was personally shown a deep fake AI video portraying a topless depiction of Haggard's wife by staffers in the lieutenant governor's office. So that's when he's not cheering on the 3/5 compromise. Micah Beckwith is out here making AI deepfake porns of political rivals.
Yeah. There's a lot that's going on with that. What the
fuck?
What the fuck?
First of all, the deep fake thing is what scares me about.
Yeah, because that's happening everywhere.
And don't we got Melania on that? Isn't Melania on that?
Yeah.
Isn't she on the deep fake beat right now?
All right, so Brian is our resident porn expert. First of all, how good is AI porn? And second of all, would anybody believe this? I mean, how ridiculous is this? He's
AI porn is not really interesting.
Okay.
Not interesting to me, that way.
They're taking away good jobs.
Yeah, right.
All types of jobs. I'm all talking.
How will those 17-year-olds buy their braces with Matt Gaetz' money now? Ooh, yeah.
Shoot, they can actually buy maybe some comic books or something like that.
All right, so what are we doing here?
I'm assuming, what are they doing? They're throwing a video, or I'm assuming they've taken his wife from another video. And
she was at a charity event.
Oh God,
that's the singing. Get this, for Who's Your Idol?
No,
what?
So this is like Indiana's version of American Idol.
That was a charity. It was a charity event. She was performing. They took that and they turned it into a topless AI video. So she's singing. So she's singing for charity. And they took this. And it's just like, I mean, come on.
There are a lot of porn stars named Charity, Scenario. I don't know if you know this. That's pretty common.
Charity, a great movie about a sex worker. But I love this quote. I'm just gonna.
Yes, please.
My wife and I are outraged and saddened that her singing at a charity event for mental health was turned into a pornographic smear of her family, of her and our family. And I'm gonna, when I'm not on camera and I'm by myself, I'm gonna laugh at that quote because there's something about it that just is just very a lot. But the fact that they did this is just like, that's the, I mean, the dude is the lieutenant governor, and this is like the wife of an elected official. So now
of his own party.
The shenanigans that happen behind closed doors in the parties and in Indiana, and the lieutenant governor in Indiana is a terrible office. And most of the people who've done that job have been nearly terrible people. However, this is like a new low for Indiana politics, I have got to say. And I grew up in Chicago, so
I was going to say, you would know.
The dirty stuff was happening in Indiana, right? But this is, whew. I mean, I covered Richard Murdoch, who he lost.
Yeah.
Like, again, another Richard Murdoch and Pete Buttigieg. I did Pete's first national story. But I have never seen anything like this and then that's what happens when one party has control of a state for too long. It's been 20 years of one party, 25 years ish of one party rule with an Evan by like interregnum somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But like the state has gone hardcore way to the right and it's stayed there, and it's a one party state. And then you get people like this who can run for office, but it's the doing this and spreading around. Now his office says that that there was no signs of them spreading around the office, but that's what they were doing.
Of course, they're saying that.
Yeah.
All right. So my question is, what is taking Kenny Paxton all this time? Like, if they're doing this in Indiana, you know, the way that the Texas Republicans are like outing each other, threatening each other, you know, causing divorces and all this. Kenny Paxton, come on, man. Step
Don't
up the game. Where's your AI fakes of your wife with Cornyn or whatever the fuck you're after now these days? I don't know.
Look, don't encourage this behavior.
Texas. Come on, Texas, do the thing.
Needs to be some type of regulation on this shit, man. You shouldn't be allowed to just do this.
See, now Tez hates
no,
free
you
speech.
really should. You shouldn't be. And then using my image.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's the one. The one. I mean, I do live in the state of California where I have the right to my voice, my image, and my signature. So you just can't do whatever you want with it. That's not true in every state, by the way. And in California, I can do whatever I want with my image while I'm alive and when I'm dead. Like my image belongs to me and my estate. And that's actually is, I mean, Ari Shapiro has a Substack about this today, about how we can't ignore AI and can't like pretend that it's not a thing. But I'll agree with him in that these are real issues that we're not dealing with. And you're right, there should be a law. And instead of hashing over the stuff that has been settled, why don't we focus on these things? This is where I would like for us, where I would wish we were on the bleeding edge of the law, right? It's whether it's deep fakes in porn, whether it's deep fakes that I see all the time now, you're seeing them where you really cannot. I just saw a Trump deep fake that real people, I mean, all it was him breezing past reporters and not answering questions, but it was a fake, and I could see because his ear was like 9 times the size. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I hadn't
believed a bunch of fake stuff in 2016 when AI really wasn't this good, and they were believing these Russian bots with these, you know, ridiculous stories and all of that stuff. Imagine what they're going to do when the video is believably there.
Or the photo right before I came on here, I saw a photo of Kamala Harris and Jeffrey Epstein.
Sure.
And it's like
super likely.
I know that couldn't be like the fate. I mean, you look at it, his neck or whatever, you could kind of see it, but I was like, I know that this is not true, but that's gonna be a big problem for journalists. Everyone, I don't know anyone who shouldn't be dealing with it. Like every organization I've dealt with is updating, but the journalistic organizations, and so many of us are like so far behind. I mean, what we really need to do is go ask, like, get a classroom full of 18-year-olds and be like,
yeah,
can you help us all out?
No,
right, so wait, you're telling me
one is the scariest, because I wonder you get to a point where you have a website that ends up taking over whatever like local news for somebody or like a small town, and it's just AI that's generating content versus actual real people. And that's probably
not only that, but like the financial stuff, people could steal identities really easily with this kind of thing. I mean, the possibility for mayhem is near endless. And
or the AI that calls your mom up,
yeah, and sounds like you and says I've been kidnapped and send the money or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I just, look,
it's always a good time to be. Tomorrow is always a good day to be a criminal, right? Because all you have to do is stay just a little bit ahead of the authorities, and the authorities are always going to be more than a little bit behind.
Well, and in this case, fighting last. And they're always fighting the last war. It's just, they're never ahead of any of this. I mean, the fake stuff is true, but you're telling me that Trump was not flying a fighter jet dumping diarrhea on protesters a few weeks ago? That was fake?
Look. When the Pope was wearing that bubble vest, it got me, and I'm usually good at this.
Yeah.
That was the one that got with the Pope and the bubble.
He had the bubble
in the Montclair. It was the AI, and I was like, wait, hey, they got the Pope out here styling in there. That was where I was like, damn, they finally got me.
See, if they put him in a heli, then you'd know.
Yeah,
all right. We've come to the end of the show, which is merciful for Brian. And incredible. What a show. Oh, okay. Well, there. Right. So we'll get you a chance to say thank you and all that stuff. Give me a second. Thank you to Snarglen for hanging out with us. That was incredible. Please go subscribe to his Substack and follow him. Do all the things. Watch his
VanillaIsBlack.substack.com.
There you go. Thanks to our radio mother, Susan Stamberg, Nina Totenberg, and Whopper the Hamburg. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway and Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as recently imported Croatian pasta. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials there, Tez?
You can find me on Blue Sky at DC Cortez.
All right, and Sonari, where can everybody find you? I'm
Sonari Batubo on TikTok. Follow my TikTok, and vanillaisblack.substack.com. That's me.
There you go. And you can find me and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can find me on Blue Sky with Tez arguing about soccer at Chef Chip. And you can find us most Thursday nights at 9:30 Eastern here on Beltway Radio and also on Rip Radio and, wherever. And you can find us, I guess, tomorrow on Spotify or wherever you're going to get your podcasts and all that good stuff. All right, I'm Chip. That's Sonari. That's Tez. Brian's in the background somewhere. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Thank you.
In conclusion, the message is to go out and serve folks, whether that's through art, music, or if you just tell jokes. Seek to medicate your ears, hope you eradicate your fears. Thanks for sticking with us through all these years.